Sound check coming in. Knowing YouTube, they're probably gonna play an. No, I won't dream fearlessly. Screw you, child. I hope you forget how to read. Sound check coming in. There we go. All right, so we are good. Just gonna have the little blocker up that says starting soon for a second while I gather some replays here. All right, desktop replays. So let's just gather these replays. Airstrike versus Aoju. 1, 2, 3. That's a good name. That's very specific. 1, 2, 3 tells me all the information I need to know about your replay. Wow, chat's really popping off today. Let me read them all real quick. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Learn more. Thanks, YouTube. Thanks. Long time subscriber, that YouTube. Best friend I ever had, that YouTube. At least it wasn't 6, 7. Hey, bird. Ooh, do you just say bird like flying around cuckoo bird, or do you want me to like include the Y in there and be like beard? RTK's beard. I won't show you the bracket for today's little venture because that would spoil the results of the replays we're about to cast because the tournament is well underway. But we had 14 new players sign up for today's tournament. That's nice. That's good to see. Yeah, we'll get started in just a second. I'll do a more formal introduction. How do I have a concurrent viewers of 17 but 6 views? That doesn't make sense. Are 11 of you blind? Hey David, how you doing? I don't get it. What up, Nicholas? Yes, live stream. Yes. Hurry up and start it. You hurry up and start it. Damn. That was weird. Spot on my tum-tums hurt, and I was like, did I scratch myself? Did Hazel scratch me? So had to investigate. It's fine, no gaping wounds. Grieven, wrong, incorrect. Grieven, here's the thing. You're a Turin fan, right? I know there's a delay, but you're a Turin fan? Yes? No? Maybe? Possibly? Whatever. Grieven's gonna ignore me. Even though I acknowledge that there's a delay, I'm still just gonna pretend he's ignoring me. What a dick. We'll start in a second. I just want to finish my interaction with Grieven, but we'll get there. There's no need for an actual blocker yet. I know there'll be finals. There. Okay, amongst others. Okay, cool. But now that we've established that you like Turin and you don't like me, question for you, Grieven. Does Turin ever directly interact with you? Does Turin ever call out your comments, say, hey, Grieven, I hope you're having a good day? I remember you from previous streams I've had. Does he or does he not? Because I would advocate 100% seriously, with no jokes whatsoever, that Turin doesn't give a shit about his fans. Now wait, I know I can hear some of you saying, but Turin has thousands of people watching him at any point in time and his chat rate is huge, and you're smaller and shittier and just worse in every way, so your chat moves slowly and you can pretty easily identify people and have conversations with them over the course of multiple streams. And I would say fair, but also, what if Turin just sucks, bro? What if Turin just sucks? Let's get on with it. I can't believe Tori was able to convince me to admin a land battle tournament. Dobbs obviously the superior game mode. Damn, bird. That's messed up. That's fucked. Okay, sorry. I got distracted by a tournament question. Today we have a tournament that is part of our ongoing partnership with RTK for a new player event. We promised, if you saw the video, which a lot of people did, we promised 25 DLC keys for the Bashiva Tiger DLC coming up to new players who join our server and win 5 games with other new players. They can lose as many games as they want to, but as long as they win 5, we'll get them the DLC. That's been a resounding success. Actually, we just got our 25th person yesterday. So I did extend the event to 30 keys just because I saw a couple people that were still playing and trying to get the keys, and I don't know, just didn't feel like letting the event die out just yet. So yep, there's still 5 keys up for grabs, and the winner of this tournament guaranteed gets one. So we'll see how that goes. Now, there are people in this tournament who have already gotten the keys, but we're not forbidding them from playing because the whole point is just to get new players to play with other new players. So sure, keep playing. It's fine. I haven't done a new player tournament in a while, but the format is pretty standard. We have 4 Swiss rounds where people sign up. I usually have a pick and ban, but this event is run by RTK. They're doing single faction, so it's a single faction tournament. People sign up for Swiss rounds where everybody gets to play, guaranteed no matter what, and then the best records at the end will have a finals to determine a winner. We'll be streaming some random replays from it. Not going to do every replay of every game, but I will try and get different people every time, so more people get on stream, and then we'll cast the finals for sure. Right? Yeah. I don't think he'd remember me, but he does read my comments every once in a while. Well, my argument is shattered. I guess Turin might care about his fans. That's fucked up. I guess there's just no hope for the old rat boy. All right, gentle reminder, 2 things. 1, to the new players that are here to watch their own games and get my commentary. It does mildly annoy me when people post the results while I'm casting it, where it's like someone pops in and says, oh, this game, I got destroyed. And it's like, cool, bro, I'm in the middle of showing it, so spoilers, don't do that. All right. And to people out there who might say like, wow, this person did X, Y, or Z that was really terrible, they suck. It's a new player tournament. You're gonna see some wild shit. It is what it is. Like, you know, people get better. So don't flame. Let's do this. So we have King versus Chulu. Chulacho. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Y'all need to thank Bird for admitting this tournament. Bird's great. It's King Squish versus Hercherung, it looks like. I believe those are their names. Different Steam names from there. Thanks. All right. So, Vampire Coast versus Khorne. For the Vampire Coast, we do have 4 deck dropper pistols, 1 deck dropper bomber, the Salt Lord Scullers with their armor sundering, Luther Harkon on his Terrorgeist with Hornswoggle, and that is it. No caster for the Vampire Coast, and then a front line of 3 Depth Guard and a Zombie Deckhands mobs with 2 Necrofex Colossi for damage. On the other side for Khorne, we have Marauders of Khorne with dual weapons, a lot of them. And then Chaos Warriors of Khorne with dual weapons, so really focusing on the anti-infantry components. We have the Bloodwake Berserker, Wrathmonger ROR, Hellforged Host, Exalted Bloodletter ROR, a Slaughter Brute, and a Blood Speaker. The Blood Speaker has his heal, which damages himself. and then his direct damage, leadership aura thing, and then unbreakable pilgrimage of skulls. Interesting. Very unique builds. Overall assessment of the builds, if the players want them, if they're just having fun and they don't care, then sure, they can ignore me, but whatever. My thoughts would be, I mean, if you have access to casting, which Khorne doesn't, but the Vampire Coast do, you almost always want a caster because the Winds of Magic are charging up whether you can access them or not, so you're not like saving any money or anything from that. Luther's not a caster lord, and generally, if you use a caster, they will pay for themselves, generally. There are very, very, very few instances where casters are not worth the effort. Now, Khorne does have spell resist, which is fine, but you could still take one that uses summons so they can bring more infantry onto the field to give you more time to shoot, or heal your units so they can stay in the fight longer. So there are buff and debuff stuff that wouldn't be affected by Khorne's spell resistance. So generally, Vampire Coast would want a caster. I'm not mad about the air force versus Khorne. I am a little concerned that there was nothing to... Oh my god. I usually turn the volume down when I'm streaming so you don't catch a reverb, but if there were Chaos Furies of Khorne, these guys would be in big trouble because they don't have any ground-based stuff that can protect them. There's no handguns or pistol mobs that could shoot those guys out of the sky, so this is a little risky, but I don't hate the idea of an Air Force overall. I just think they did need to take a little more anti-air shooting on the ground to protect them in case of Furies, but they got lucky. There is no Furies in this Khorne build, so overall it's fine. Depth Guard going to do their best to just hold on, but I do really... Now, here's the positive. I do like staying small when you're fighting Khorne because you don't want to charge up their army passive for free. Like, they want kills, so why bother giving them kills? That's fine. And the Necrophec's Colossi will do good damage versus the infantry if you can keep them safe from just getting mobbed by randoms. So, I get the strategy, and I think it's a solid strategy with some mild execution errors. But, yeah, I get the point. Luther's currently using his ammo not on single entities, which is a little rough. He's much more of a sniper than like a generalist. He's just not going to get that many kills. Like, he's used half his ammo and he's gotten 10 kills, 43 value. So unfortunately, just his pistol versus infantry is generally not worth it. On the Khorne side, the Khorne build's pretty good. I have some disagreements about the deployment so far, but I really like the idea. Just a bunch of anti-infantry infantry, some of them heavily armored, which the coast generally struggles with heavily armored infantry rushes, so that's pretty smart. Bloodspeaker's a fine lord. The Wrathmonger ROR is very, very good. The Slaughter Brute is generally considered quite bad. It's just really expensive and pretty easy for the coast to shoot, so that's the only unit. That's the only unit in this build I really take issue with, is I think the Slaughter Brute is just generally suboptimal, but it is what it is. What I do disagree with is how cagey Khorne is being with their expensive units. Again, similar to the air strategy, I get it. I disagree with the execution. Like, he wanted to keep his expensive stuff in the trees so they don't get shot on the approach, which is fair, that's valid. But I think the delay is taking too long, where if he had moved them to this brush of trees quick and then like slowly move them out this way, you're still defending yourself, but you're getting closer because now you need to close this distance as opposed to this distance, which is huge. So his front line is going to either win or lose the fight, in my opinion, before he gets there. Like, either the Slaughter Brute, the Bloodwake Berserkers, all these guys are going to arrive to a lost battle, or the Depth Guard are already going to be overrun, the Necrophec's Colossi are going to be in trouble, and the game's going to be over either way. So I would have liked to see them moving up a lot sooner. Even though he wanted to keep him safe in the trees, it's like, there's trees over here you can use, it's fine. In comes the sniping. Hornswoggle slowing and lowering the armor of the Slaughter Brute, and then using the deck dropper bombers on the Slaughter Brute, which they themselves don't do that much damage to him, but they have sundered armor, so now it has minus 60 armor, bringing it down to 10, and the pistols were actually ripping it to shreds for a bit there. Now, sundered armor from the bombs has worn off. It'll get refreshed in a second. Hornswoggle's about to wear off, but still, that was a pretty cool tech piece. Minus 40 armor on them. Oh, minus 60 actually at one point was pretty brutal. So the Marauders are starting to fade away, but the Chaos Warriors have now gotten stuck in, and they are going to body Depth Guard in the melee. It's not even going to be close. The Slaughter Brute is actually just pushing through the infantry to try and harass the Necrophec's Colossi. It'll do okay damage, but it's just getting shot so much, it is probably going to die relatively soon. The Vampire Coasts are up on the balance of power, but I am incredibly unconvinced. I would much rather be Khorne right now. I think the build diff is going to hit pretty hard. The Depth Guard are starting to fade away. The deck droppers, bombers are out of ammo. The pistols are still doing all right. They're fine. I think Luther's breath attack just got blocked by his own deck droppers because they took a ton of damage out of nowhere. But yeah, depth guard frontline starting to fail, and now the Necrophorus Colossi are going to be stuck in random Marauders and Chaos Warriors for the rest of the game, and they'll actually die much quicker than you'd expect. You don't even need to have halberds to tear these guys down with infantry. They only have 31 melee defense. I mean, they're tired or whatever, but 60 armor, 34 base melee defense is not a lot. And the Slaughterbird is even getting a heal from Blood Sacrifice, which is actually quite nice. The Blood Speaker has gotten stuck in now. I think you're going to see that bounce power shift heavily in Khorne's favor over the next probably 60 seconds. 60 seconds for the bounce power to go into Khorne's favor, and at the 8-minute 10-second point, army loss is going to hit. This is my guess. Do you think you'll do other new player tournament format for other End Time Lords packs? Yeah, probably. I don't know if we'll do the exact same event of like just join our server and get 5 wins. That was a unique opportunity because this DLC was so cheap at like $5. It's pretty easy to give out a bunch of keys and get a bunch of engagement. Whereas the End Times DLC will be much more expensive, so then it's like, I don't know. If there's only 3 or 4 keys on offer, then how many people are really going to sign up and join and play, right? So it's just kind of the return on investment sort of thing. But we'll do some sort of event for it for sure and give a couple keys at least. But yeah, the Bashiva gave us an interesting opportunity because it's so cheap. Anyway, bounce of power 5 seconds away from me being wrong about when Khorne would take it. And that's about 50-50. I don't call that a win, but I still have 40 seconds left until army losses is going to hit. Now, Luther is doing some good plays here to try and make me a liar. Currently trying to snipe out the Blood Speaker, which is going okay. Necrophorus Colossi are going down. One of them is dead. Khorne officially takes the lead on the balance of power. The other one is doomed, half HP and falling, unable to get his shots off as the Bloodwake Berserkers are massacring him. But if I look at the coast, there's literally nothing left that can kill the Bloodwake Berserkers. They could solo this army. Like, they can just sit there and get shot by the rest of the ammo from the pistol bats, and they wouldn't even die. It's fine. Blood Speaker's getting low. Luther and the coast are just trying to get a quick Lord Snipe in, get something going, lower the leadership of these other units, and you can maybe terror route, just cycle route them out until they shatter. But the Bloodwake Berserkers aren't going anywhere. The Hellforged Host aren't going anywhere. The Slaughterbird's leadership is actually falling. His Unbreakable only applies when the Lord is not routing. Gotcha. So he is mortal. Not unbreakable anymore. I missed the mark on the time predictions as the Necrophorus Colossi is still dying, but we have passed when I thought the game would be over. Luther and the Flying Corps are still chasing down the Blood Speaker. They are going to start taking the flying units only penalty, though, in a second. What up, airstrikes? So Vampire Coast leadership is going to constantly diminish until they land something. And Luther does land. Killing off the enemy lord. Khorne's leadership seems to be doing okay. Relatively. They're a decently high leadership faction, even their marauders are okay. I'm going to fast forward as the air squad gets back into the fight. But now this is tricky. I mean, they are just going to slowly bleed out unless they do something. So either Luther's going to have to land, in which case Khorne can run up and beat his ass, or they're just going to slowly lose leadership until they crumble for free. Like, they're already losing 27 leadership from having just flying units left. So fast forward a little bit as they shoot. Pow, 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 pow. You can see they're about to start crumbling just from the debuff. Pow, 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 pow. Get him! Get him! Pow, 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 pow. Leadership debuff is minus 42, minus 45. And now we're starting to get crumbling on some of these bats. Luther is forced finally to land just to mitigate the losses. It doesn't make the leadership go away, if I remember correctly. It just makes it start to diminish. Like, but it's not just going to reset entirely quickly. So he does have to stay on the ground for a decent amount of time. And yeah, the Bloodwake Berserkers are coming for him now. And this is where we're going to see his health bar really start to explode as once the Bloodwake Berserkers get onto him. He's going to take so much damage. Ow, 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 oh god! Oh, there goes 1,000 HP! The Hellforged Host have joined in too. Ow, ow, god, stop! The murder! About to lose another 1,000 as he is regenerating in melee. The bats are trying to help out. The landing debuff is a little wild and inconsistent, but it does have Luther currently crumbling a little bit. Some bats jump in to help him, but he's down to half HP in the blink of an eye. Khorne's health has gone nowhere. All their lesser forces have run away, as we suspected, but the two elite units are perfectly fine. The Bloodwake Berserkers and the Hellforged Hosts are just vibing. Bats, one volley, 0 and 0 as they dive into the fray. Bounce power is getting worse and worse for the Vampire Coast as their pistols are just not up to the task of killing the Bloodwake Berserkers. The aerial debuff has worn off enough to stop auto-crumbling these guys, but now it's back. The bats have no ammo, and there is just no hope for the Coast to kill Bloodwake Berserkers. This is going to dive back in. At this point, it looks like he's just trying to cycle charge to win, but it's not going to work out. I mean, the bats are going to die super quick, and then Luther's just stuck in there on his own. That's GG. Good scrap from the Coast. Build did better than I thought it would, but did run into the inevitable issues. I have a message request. Why? From who? It's from Hamza. All right, for King, his Bloodspeaker got sniped out pretty hard by Luther, but his more elite infantry got a lot of the value. The Marauders and his Lord just kind of got bodied. Slaughterbrute actually got pretty good value, which is nice to see. For Churchu, Depth Guard held for as long as they could. Pistol Bats all paid for themselves with a ton of gusto, so that ended up working out. The Colossi didn't get the damage out they wanted to before being attacked. Necrofex Colossi are generally better against like cavalry, so if he had Chaos Knights, if he had Blood Crushers, Skull Crushers, any of those, it could have done a lot more damage, but those were not on the table. All right, I'm just gonna save replays real quick that have come up so I don't lose track of them in case I need them. Somebody is playing Dwarfs. Okay. Let's delete that one so I don't recast it or anything. I'll move on to other people. Ooh! Demons of Chaos versus Chaos Dwarves. I like the builds. This is fun. Hey, Sagos. So, I've been seeing more Demons of Chaos doing Slaanesh Khorne mixes. Still don't see a lot of Nurgle in Demons of Chaos builds, but Tzeentch seems to be taking a third seat behind Slaanesh and Khorne. It's Path to Power versus Anime Kid. Alright, for the builds, Bloodletters of Khorne, the Heralds of Excess, Seeker Chariot, Regiment of Renown that does have healing if you're low leadership, and then Chaos Furies of various kinds I thought I saw. We have Slaanesh, we have regular, more Slaanesh and more regular, and then 2 Seekers. We also have, somewhere in the trees, an Exalted Keeper Secrets of Shadows with her Rampage and Pit of Shades. Then aside for the Chaos Dwarves, Cathay, Fireborn, and Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons in the trees. Oof, and they're gonna ambush the Heralds of Excess right away. Hold on, I wanna finish the builds, but I do wanna see what happens over there. Then we have Chaos Dwarf Warriors front lines mixed in with the Blazing Beards of Bosrock, 2 Infernal Guard Fireglaives, 2 Magma Cannons, and a Sorcerer Prophet of Death with Doom and Darkness and Spirit Leech. 2 Goblin Laborers in the front line. So this little ambush in the trees, if the Heralds of Excess actually get wrapped up, they'll die super quickly, but it looks like 3 of the 4 models will escape the trap and get out here. We unfortunately have the afternoon lighting version of this map, which makes it very hard to see what is coming out of those shaded trees. Chaos Furies diving down onto the Bull Centaur Renders, and oh, nasty Rampage is going to get them stuck in there. Minus 24 melee defense on a unit that already has pretty garbage melee defense in my opinion, while you have Chaos Furies with their armor piercing hitting them. Yeah, you can see the Bull Centaur Renders just get massacred. And that is kind of a divisive topic among Chaos Dwarf mains, is whether or not Bull Centaur Renders are trash. I'm firmly in the they're trash category, but I've seen players use them well. But I personally can't do it, and this is much more my experience with them where they just get massacred. Hey, Hayseed, hope you're having a good day at work. Seekers and Fury Overload delete one of the Infernal Guard Fireglaves, but they aren't able to deal with the Magma Cannon before the Cathay Fireborn arrive to offer reinforcement. But again, the Slaanesh forces with their significant armor piercing are just jumping on these Infernal Guard wherever they are, and in comes the Exalted Keeper of Secrets. So we do have to see the Chaos Dwarves react to some of these threats, like the Sorcerer Prophet of Death is going to have to do something, either an Overcast of Doom and Darkness, and then he dives in to also lower their leadership or something. He's currently sitting and firing his pistol, and I can't tell if it's because he has been forgotten in the chaos, because like micro mistakes can happen, or if he's actually just using him as a ranged unit, or if he is intentionally not landing him yet because he's worried about getting rampaged and murdered. Either way, I do think this big, expensive, mostly melee combat lord has to get involved somewhere, no matter how dangerous it is, or you're unfortunately just paying a premium for a unit that's not participating. Spirit Leech down on the Exalted Keeper of Secrets, and now he jumps in, so I'm inclined to believe that there was just a bunch of chaos and his micro slipped a little bit, but now the Sorcerer Prophet is in there. Blazing Beards of Bosrock get annihilated in record time by those Bloodletters, and I think honestly the Heralds of Exodus are doing some decent work. Yes, they are. Things are looking dire for the Chaos Dwarfs already, as the Cathay Fireborn have gotten some decent damage down, but they're just kind of overwhelmed. The Magma Cannons didn't have a lot of time to sit and fire. The demons were upon them quite quickly. Any guesses for when the next DLC drops? The Bashiva one or the End Times one? The Bashiva one, they announced it's Thursday, so that's not a hard guess. For the End Times one, Army Losses is hitting, very well done by the demons, and that was really well executed by the demons too, so they played that pretty great. I didn't see a lot of mistakes in what Path to Power was doing. GG's. Hamza, I saw it. I'm just in the middle of streaming right now. Yeah. It seems like you've won the 5 games for the DLC code, so that'll be fine. I'll deal with it after the stream. Yeah. End Times? So CA said summer. I don't know. Here's the thing, I don't know. CA said summer, but they've been pushing their deadlines a little bit recently, so I'm suspicious that that's going to come out in summer. And if Bashiva is just coming out now, when they said Bashiva in spring, which is it spring? Sure, but like May 21st is almost the last Thursday of spring you could possibly do. So I'm thinking it'll probably be the last Thursday of summer if they stick with summer, or they push it into the fall. My personal guess for the End Times DLC would be September. Just because, like, I don't have any inside information, like CA doesn't tell me these things, but just like looking at their release schedule, looking at the lack of hype content around it right now, I feel like if it was going to come out in like July, right? Middle of summer, let's say July, I feel like we'd be getting more like Let's Plays or like, what are we doing in the End Times or what's this and that? Like they just put out the Boris thing, which was hype, as we're loading up Dnieper versus Strevelet, Tomb Kings versus what else? Anyway, if it was coming out in the earlier summer, I think we would have seen more by now, is my whole point. So I'm guessing late summer. Personally think it's September. When I hit 40. Hey, Garrett. How do we get the DLC, win 5 games, and message you for it? So Daniel, yeah, the event, we have a bot on our server. It's in the announcement video that was posted on YouTube, but we have a bot that if you play, it tracks your wins, and when you get 5 wins, it pings me. Some people have also just been messaging me when they get 5 wins, which is also fine, but the bot does ping me if you're using the bot. The plays in the tournament today count as well, so if you have 1 here and 4 on the bot, then that's also 5, and you can message me, and that's fine. Or the winner of this tournament, regardless of the amount of wins they have overall, gets it, but with 4 rounds, then you have to win a finals, that is 5 wins. Hey, Pope Patty. Shut up, Pope Patty. Alrighty, now we got the night version of this map, the only version that is darker than the dusk version of this map, which is great. For the Tomb Kings, it is a Spearman frontline, Settra and his best friend, the Sphinx Usef, ROR Kitty Cat. More skellies, some archers, and the Ushapti great bows with some carrions. A pretty simple Tomb Kings build. On the other side, a pretty simple War Dancer Wood Elf build. War Dancers with spears, War Dancers without spears, Dryads in the front line, and then we do have an Archmage of Vida, which is life, apparently, in Spanish or Portuguese. And then Earthblood and Awakening of the Wood for them. So it is a hardcore infantry rush for the Wood Elves. They're just going to try and churn their way through the skeletal front line and drag down the cats in the late game, all on their infantry selves. Meanwhile, for Settra and the cat and the Tomb Kings, it's much more about the mobility. Their skeletons are going to get butchered super quickly, so we'll see what their Chosen the Gods can kite and do, what their 2 cats can cycle charge and do, but it's looking pretty rough. I mean, Chosen the Gods have a lot of ammo, but not enough ammo to kill this whole army by themselves, and it's looking like they're going to have to. As man, the Tomb King's front line is getting murdered right now. Already we have multiple spearmen breaking and crumbling away before Dryads. The War Dancers are going to make even quicker work on the flanks here. Dual swordsing their way through the poor scaly boys. Are Demons of Chaos good outside Blue Fire Kite? They're fine without Blue Fire. They're not great, they're not bad. You know, they're B without it. Demonic units in land battles, see, it depends. Land battles and Conquest, demonic is usually a bad thing, while as in domination, it can be a good thing. Whereas if you have routing units that take forever to get off the field, you can't resummon them. Demonic and stability crumbling is just like, as soon as it's off the field, it's back in your respawn pool. But in land battles and Conquest, Demons of Chaos are hurt pretty significantly by being all demonic and stability crumbling, which is just a bad thing to have. So yeah, they tend to struggle, but Blue Fire is a strong spell and they're really strong rosters. They're normally quite good, but if you give me the caveat of no Blue Fire, then they're just like, fine. They're fine. All right, Sphinx and Settra are doing their best. As we have said, the front line is doomed. It's holding a little longer than with, oh, they're Tomb Guard. That's why they're holding. Stupid skellies all having the same flags. These Tomb Guard are holding forever. Okay, the flanks have entirely deteriorated. Wherever there were skeletons, we can see the War Dancers got through with literally full health. They're completely fine. But Tomb Guard are holding much longer. They won't do that much damage, mind you, but they'll hold for quite a while. I don't think that improves their chances in this game overall. Like, I think it's, with the builds that were here, I think it's probably like 60-40 Wood Elves favored. So I don't think the Tomb Guard makes me reassess my percentages, but it does give Settra and the Sphinx more time to cycle charge. Ushapti Summon is out, getting what damage it can while it can, cleaving through random War Dancers, but their time is up. They faded away. The last of the Skeleton Horsemen, the last of the infantry are also starting to fade as the Chosen Gods continue to fire. Balance power is 50-50, maybe slightly Wood Elf favored after the Ushapti faded, because Settra and the Sphinx are both a lot of money and they're rather healthy. But as we saw in the 2 games ago with the Necrofix Colossi and stuff, big monsters generally don't like to sit in infantry and fight. Generally. Now, Settra and the cat both have excellent charge animations, so they can kill a lot of infantry on the charge, but when you're out of infantry, you can't just cycle charge. It's one of the rules of land battles, which is just like, you just need to have something in combat. So, yeah, it generally prevents just cycle charging in the super late game when you only have big monsters, and it's like, all right, the rest of the game is just me going in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. That's just bad. It's bad. It's bad content. No one wants to play it. No one wants to watch it. So we generally just get rid of that. Chosen the Gods trying to kite out War Dancers on their heels. War Dancers are actually slower, but charge bonus is a hell of a drug. The Wood Elf Lord is trying to just kite out the Sphinx Usef. Whenever her micro drops, though, that big cat is upon her, so she needs to be careful. And Settra is cycle charging to try and bail out the last of his Tomb Guard, but that is a dwindling supply of Tomb Guard. We're down to 20 models. They're falling quickly, so soon Settra will be all alone. Without support there, War Dancers take a massive cleave from the Sphinx. They chose the Gods. Get run down by the War Dancers. Now we got a nice little Earthblood heal. One of the strengths of the Demons of Chaos, they have build variety. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I do wish the Nurgle demonic units were a little better, like Plague Toads and Pox Riders and Plague Bearers. Nurglings are all right. I've come around on Nurglings. I still think they're a bit expensive for 350 gold, but they're useful in some situations. New Toddy ability. Give Beastmen demonic instability within 55-meter range. Damn. Man's just disintegrating Beastmen out here. Anyway. So now we're in the late game where we just have the two big cats. And one of the cats is going to have to be in combat for attacking rules reasons. And that's where infantry are going to start to shine. Because whichever one of them is in combat is just going to be getting absolutely shit on. Like, Settra's lost half his HP without Tomb Guard helping him out. Because now his model is so big, right? All these spears are just getting little opportunities to poke and prod at him, so he's losing HP. Even with 40% physical resistance and getting some healing from the Allure of Nahkara passive, he's taking a lot of damage, and the Sphinx is also getting whittled down. So they're kind of trying to trade off who's taking damage, but someone is going to be, and the infantry will eventually get him. Oh, hey, we have Skeleton Horsemen. Hi, Skeleton Horsemen. Nurglings? Yeah, no. The ROR is amazing. Other than the ROR, Nurglings are kind of underwhelming, but they are decent against Skaven. Thinking. They're decent against Skaven because Poison Globes can't do that much damage to them. They're just, models are kind of weird and they have a low model count, so the Globes don't get as much damage out on them, which can be a little annoying. I've also found Nurglings to be fine versus Bretonnia and Empire, just like because swordsmen and spearmen at arms and that kind of thing are just not threatening enough, so Nurglings can do okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to sell you that Nurglings are great. I think they're pretty underwhelming, but they're the only Nurgle unit on the Demons of Chaos roster that isn't complete ass, is more my point. Right. I'm singing their praises compared to Plague Toads and Plague Bearers rather than singing their praises compared to Demonettes or like Seekers. What up, Captain Teals? White Wolves feature bonus damage versus constructs because of sledgehammers. So you can see the balance of power has completely fallen away for the Tomb Kings where we've been hitting army losses. It's just as soon as they lost their own infantry support, the cats couldn't get nearly as much effectiveness. They couldn't get as much cycle charging in. They couldn't get as much damage, and they got whittled down by the infantry. Straight Jimmy, I disagree. I think the Barons of the Bog are not great. I don't like them. I know some people do. Strevelet, all melee infantry all day seemed to work out for him. Decent value spread across the board. War Dancers did well. War Dancer Spears did fine. GG's. Isn't the RR Noxbringer good? Some of the single entities of Nurgle are good. You're right, you're right. I meant more of like the general units. Rot Flies, Plague Drones. Plague Drone Death Heads are good in Air Cheese builds. Plague Drone Death Head ROR is just generally kind of good, and then the Soul Grinders are both fine. They're fine, you're right, but like Chaos Furies of Nurgle are generally pretty bad because why do you want melee defense on a harassing flyer unit? Like, it's generally not that good. I don't know. The Tomb King's Carrion kind of pull it off because their melee defense is one, ridiculous, and they don't have demonic instability crumbling, they have regular crumbling, so they take forever to die. Whereas demonic instability crumbling, even with your slightly improved melee defense of Nurgle, I mean, Nurgle Furies still die instantaneously on like a cavalry charge or something, so it's just meh. It's just meh. I don't, you know what, I don't like it, and I don't have to like it. All right, next game, we're just gonna keep rocking and rolling. We have Duck Shark and Curie. Duck Shark's picture on Discord makes me mildly uncomfortable, but it does live rent-free in my head, so I guess it's working. I think they're cool, but in my awesome opinion, unless an ROR of a unit unlocks something the base unit can't do, makes it so harder to counter, I rarely take it. All right, next game. Oh, Duck Shark's here. Get him out of here. Get out. All right. It's from my game. Nice. You have a game. Wait, like, did you make the game or like a game you play? I don't know. Just finished a 20+ minute versus Alberic. Damn. All right. For the Dark Elves, we have 2 Cold One Dread Knights, 2 Dark Riders, a front line of Dread Spears, backed up by Witch Elves. We have 2 Dark Shards, a Reaper Bolt Thrower, and a Sorceress of Beasts with a Flock of Doom. Lokir Fellheart on his dragon in the sky, and wow, he took like all of his abilities. Damn. Well, nice job, dude. Making a game is sick. Love it. Proud of you. On the other side, for the Chaos Dwarves, we have Goblin Laborers, Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits, Goblin Wolf Raiders, and then Chaos Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons, 2 Infernal Guard Fireglaves, and another Bull Centaur back in the trees. We have Astragoth on the front line moving up. He did bring Flame Storm and Ash Storm. This Black Hammer of Hashut. Okay. Cool, cool. Hobgoblin Wolf Raider is going to get absolutely massacred by the Dark Elf Cavalry, but infantry are moving up to make that a little harder as the Bull Centaur Renders do need to get active. For the Chaos Dwarves, we do need to see everything moving a little faster together. There we go. Now the Bull Centaur Renders are coming out of the trees. I was worried that they would just hang back and kind of get forgotten. Dark Rider pushed off by the Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits. It's going to be that. This is dangerous stuff. So Lokir jumps in with all of his combat buffs. He is a deadly combatant. 700 weapon strength, 80 melee stats, but he is going to get shot the whole time. We got Oglacon's Wolf Boys and Infernal Guard Fireglaves in range. You can see Lokir is already taking a lot of damage, and he does rely on healing and melee a bit, but that's difficult to do when you're on fire. And then Ash Storm is down to give further damage to the incoming fire, and the Bull Centaur Renders have come to support. So yeah, this looks like a bit of a trap. Lokir fell for it initially. He's now trying to pull back and get out of there. What is going well for the Dark Elves, while the Lord fight is not, the flanks still seem to be going just fine. Their archers are generally uncontested, and then the uncontested archers plus Witch Elves are massacring the Goblin Laborers. Goblin Laborers are in mass retreat. And in the backline fight, we do have Infernal Guard and Bull Centaur Renders fighting against Cold One Dread Knights and Dark Riders. Left to their own devices, I think the Chaos Dwarves would win this engagement eventually, but we do have infantry closing in for the Dark Elves, and we do have overlapping fire from the Bolt Throwers coming in as well. So I think in context, it's a pretty bad situation for the Chaos Dwarves, but there go the Sneaky Gits. Some Vanguard deployed Sneaky Gits do find their way onto the Bolt Thrower and Dark Shard crews. Gonna take out both those units. That's huge value from that little flanker. And speaking of huge value, the Chaos Dwarves have taken out their vengeance upon Lokir Fellheart. He's now just trying to find a safe place to sit and grind for a little bit and just get some health from the Kraken's Helm. It looks like he's gonna fight the Fireglaves. Fireglaves are hybrid anti-large halberds, so it is a bit risky, but I understand wanting to shut them down from shooting him, but the Chaos Dwarves are quick to punish. Astragoth and the other Bull Centaurs coming in. Lokir is getting eviscerated. Even Dreaded Duelist can't keep him safe. He's down to 1,000 HP and still falling as his Cold and Dread Knights come to bail him out. I think he will survive, though he might rout from this situation. Cold and Dread Knights forced to stay there and offer him an escape, which is good to get your Lord to safety. That's great, but he did have to sacrifice a pretty healthy heavy cav unit to get it done. The Dark Elves are relying on their infantry advantage to carry them from this point, and the Chaos Dwarves are mostly down to just Astragoth. The balance of power is pretty similar. Dark Elves have a slight lead, but I am very worried about the Chaos Dwarves' damage that's left in this game. Hobgoblin Sneaky Gits continuing to try and shut down Dark Shards and Bolt Throwers. One of the Bolt Throwers just noticed they're over here, killing their other Dark Shard. And I guess Astragoth does have Flamestorm, so if your late game advantage is just infantry, I mean, he does have the spell to clear it. How would you tier list Chaos Dwarves and Land Battles and Conquest? I forget exactly what Blood Penguin and I put them at in our last tier list video, so if you want that, you can just go check it. But I'd personally say they're like B or C, depending. I think they're very fun. Fun-wise, I think they're top tier. I think all the buffs CA have given them have made them really cool now. But purely competitive, they're either mid or slightly underperforming, if I had to guess. But they're very fun. And they're not like bad. I'm just trying to figure out if they're like actively good, you know? They're mid. Anyway, Astrogoth is currently in a giant pile of nonsense. I do expect to see a Flamestorm rather soon right on top of him, so the Dark Elves might want to watch out for that. But ooh, he uses an Ash Storm. Why? I generally think Ash Storm is a trash spell, but he brought Flamestorm, which is the best crowd clearing spell there is. I know he wants to give them fire weakness, and he does fire damage, I get it. So Astrogoth himself will do 20% more damage, but also Flamestorm would just kill all these guys, so why not do that? Lokir is chasing down some routing units, getting himself that health he desperately needs at only 465 HP left. And Astrogoth breaks away from a little cluster, but the Golden Dread Knights are still after him. Yeah, I think we needed to see a Flamestorm there. I still don't, I don't know if that one Flamestorm loses him the game, right? It doesn't change that much, but it changes some. Did you change anything about your stream setup? A while ago, but yes. Yeah, we upgraded everything to HD. I was having some issues between my various softwares. Like, you have the recording software, then you have editing software, and then you have YouTube. And between those three things, we were having some miscommunications. So it's like, a dumb example would be if you record in 4K HD, the editing software only went up to HD, and then YouTube received it at like 920 or something, you know, like it was just, so every step of the way I was losing quality, which was my fault. Like, I just had to figure out the softwares a little better and figure out how to adjust the settings. So yeah, it's not like anybody, well, okay, it is somebody's fault, it's my fault, but I had some time to just sit down and actually like really dig into these softwares rather than the base level thing I had gotten. Because when I was learning editing and stuff, I was mostly interested in just like, okay, I'm gonna record the video, how do I turn this video into YouTube? Like, that's all I do. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but this isn't exactly a high polished end product. I do most of my stuff in one take, where, you know, I just cast the game, give my thoughts, and if I fuck things up, I generally just say I fucked it up and keep casting. Like, I don't know, but that's partially because I like, when I am enjoying content, I usually like more authentic reactions. So then when I'm making content, I don't see the point in editing, because I'm like, my thoughts are my thoughts. If I fucked something up, that's just kind of comedic. Like, you don't have to change it. And also, just because I don't enjoy editing, I enjoy casting, I enjoy making content, but I don't really enjoy editing as much. Moving up, we have Slaanesh and Cathay, Hirn Chirug versus Naz 4. And man, this is a launch Warhammer 3 Cathay build. Skyjunk over, I'm guessing, a box of elite halberds just trying to hold. HD, do you just use OBS? I use OBS. And HD, I was just using shorthand. Yeah, it was like, I would lose frame per second. Well, we're not, this isn't a go into every detail of my streaming software thing. I was just using shorthand, but yes, the main point is I would lose quality every step of the way because my settings were bad, because I just did the basic tutorial enough to get through, and that was it. But a couple months ago, I sat down and like learned the software. Moving on. To the game that we have Miao Ying with Regrowth and Earthblood. Haven't seen her in a while. The Righteous Lances of Wei Jin, a Sky Junk, and then 2 crossbows, one of which is the Grace of Kian, the other is a Jade Warrior crossbow. The Wu Jing War Compass gives some casting ability, and then 4 Celestial Dragon Guard. Aside for Slaanesh, we have exactly why you haven't seen this build in a while. They don't have Demonettes, I guess, but the DLCs for Slaanesh were all about box breaking, and I do think that was healthy. Slaanesh could generally struggle since they didn't have many ranged units. People in Land Battles and Conquest would generally blob or box against them, and they couldn't be punished that much. So Slaanesh got a DLC Lord that has a Mortis Engine effect, so when she gets in here, she's going to start damaging everybody around her. They got cheaper anti-infantry options than Demonettes, and the Slongors that also have Vanguard, if I remember correctly. Yes, they do. And then we got the Pleasure Seekers, which are sort of like cavalry chariots where they just murder a bunch of infantry. So you're seeing a lot of the good stuff here. We didn't see Devotees of Slaanesh, but that is another thing that got in their DLC that could shoot at the Skyjunk or fire into the blob. So We're going to see if Slaanesh's blob / box breaking tools are worth their salt, because this is what their whole DLC was about. As the mask plows in, we're going to start damaging people. The Dance of Dreaming is on, meaning these guys are going to start taking slow damage whenever they're involved in melee combat. In come the Slongors charging onto the unbraced Celestial Dragon Guard, who were trying to reposition and catch those fiends or pile onto the mask, but they were not able to just yet. So we do have a hole that has appeared, and it looks like the Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows sees it, and he is going to sneak in there. So really good box dismantling so far from Slaanesh. They're doing a great job. And the Righteous Lances of Wei Jin did rout off a Slongor, but then they got caught by the very fast Pleasure Seekers and immediately destroyed. Miao Ying couldn't heal them fast enough for that. In comes a Comet, though, so the Slongor's going to have a bad day, unless it's a Lightning Bolt. No, it's a Comet. Owie, owie, owie. Lots of damage, a little bit of damage onto the Celestial Dragon Guard, but not as much. Nice Pit of Shades down from Slaanesh into the Jade Warrior Crossbows and the Grace of Kiin. Good damage, but also just pulls them, right? Just pulls them out of formation so they can't be shooting at the Pleasure Seekers, can't be shooting at the Fiends, while Slaanesh does their dirty work of murdering the Celestial Dragon Guard. Celestial Dragon Guard, 3 of them are still healthy, but 1 has started to rout, and Slaanesh is going to pick them off as they run away. There's no chance those guys come back to this battle alive. The Mask is fighting Miao Ying a little harder. The Mask doesn't love an honest 1v1 fight very often, and Miao Ying, while being a hybrid caster, is still a deadly combat lord against demons. Magic damage, 55-55 for melee stats, and then 430 weapon strength, but the Mask does not have significant armor, so she's going to take all that damage down to half HP already, and Miao Ying can heal herself. But things have gone to shit very quickly for Cathay elsewhere. Miao Ying's holding her own, but everyone else is falling apart. You have now down to 2 Celestial Dragon Guard. I feel like I just said that we had 3, but we're down to 2, and 1 is also almost routing. In comes another Comet Aura Bound Lightning Bolt to try and make some space, but it is actually going to do some friendly fire. A little bit of friendly fire. Good damage on the Slongors, though, so definitely worth it as Miao Ying gives herself a little bit of a heal, but she's having troubles now that the Pleasure Seekers are here. She's going to have to turn to her dragon form soon just to get off the ground, just to buy some space. But the problem is if she re-lands in her bigger dragon form, that is more surface area for the Pleasure Seekers to damage her. So she's kind of in a lose-lose. I do think she had to turn into a dragon form because she was getting murdered, right? So this is a good decision, but unfortunately, like, it's you had 2 bad choices and you took the least bad one, but it is still rough. See, she has to land now because, like, she has to do something. She's losing the game, so you have to do something. But as soon as she lands, she does just get hit with a fascination. She's rampage. She's completely surrounded by Pleasure Seekers, and she's going to get eaten alive. Army losses hits. And I think the DLC was successful. I think the Slaanesh box breaking DLC gave them the tools to do so. How do you box break with Slaanesh? They're new tools. Pleasure Seekers are really good at killing infantry that are unbraced. So if you use the Slongors like Hirn did, Slongors occupy the Celestial Dragon Guard, break their charge defense, and then the Pleasure Seekers come in afterwards. The Mask with her Mortis Engine Drain was really good. Pit of Shades was really good. So yeah, it's just a lot of the new tools that Slaanesh got that really helped breaking the box. For Nas 4, this build was very strong before the DLC, so I don't hate it. All of the aspects are there. It's just like, well, Slaanesh doesn't have that many range tools. Well, Slaanesh has a hard time getting through Celestial Dragon Guard while getting bombed, and they're getting healed. But yeah, the new DLC stuff was made, like, it was made to kill this build, and it did so. Yeah. How's the tournament doing? They're in the final round, so I'll be sure to hop over and cast whatever the finals end up being. But let's make sure we get everybody. So these 2 are the exact same game. I just want to make sure everybody that played today at least gets on stream once. Okay. So, well, we'll cast this one. We're here, and it's players I haven't seen. Dwarves Cathay. Damn. Damn. Though I like the dwarf build. I like the dwarf build a lot. I've actually become a dwarf enjoyer over the last months because all the things I hated about the dwarves got nerfed. And I still think they're an incredibly strong faction. I think they're one of the top factions in the game. Not a lot of people play them because, like, I like dwarves, okay? I like dwarves. A lot of people find them boring, which I don't. I thought Thoric was boring. I thought Air Cheese was boring. I hate those things. But I really like a wide line of dwarves and guns and steel and heavily armored lads, so I'm a big fan. But there are people who don't like dwarves. They don't have cavalry, they don't have monsters, so it's fine. You know, different people like different things. But I do think dwarves are very strong if you like the playstyle I like right now, and it seems like we're getting some of that. 3 Slayer Pirates, one of which is the Long Drawns, 2 Cannons, a Dragonback Slayer, Belgar Ironhammer, just trying to keep your Lord as cheap as possible without taking Grombrindle or Ungrim for their extra combat stats. Then Miners with Blasting Charges, Iron Drakes, and then Ekron's Miners for the Blasting Charges, Dwarf Warrior frontline. I really like this Dwarf build. I really like the ideas behind this Dwarf build and their positioning. I think everything about it is correct, except I would like to see a little more space. You can see these guys are getting clumped up super quickly in this battle. I'd like to see a little more space between things, because now, like, this isn't the best example versus Cathay, but, like, sure, this Cathay build could suicide a Jade Lancer in here. Where's my drawing tool? Like, suicide a Jade Lancer, and now you have 5 units all just stuck in melee with 1 Jade Lancer. You want a little more space so that if the Jade Lancer ends up targeting your Iron Drakes, then your Slayer Pirates, or I guess your Blasting Charges aren't the best example, but your other units can turn and fire at it or get good flanks off rather than just becoming a degenerate blob of uselessness. So Dwarf build's a little tight, but I like the units he has. I just want them to be spaced out just a little more, just give a little breathing room. You don't want to go too far though, right? Dwarves are slow. They can't reinforce positions quickly. So you don't want to get too spread. I get that, but this is a little tight. All right, so that's enough about the dwarves. For Cathay, we do have a Dragbound Shugen, Lord of Yin, with Storm of Shadows, and then the Ancestral Warrior Summon. Very strong stuff. 1 Celestial Dragon Crossbow, a front line of Jade Warriors backed up by 4 Crane Gunners. Then we have Jade Lancers. This is a very common way to play versus dwarves, whether the Empire, Skaven, or Cathay. Using your medium long distance armor piercing snipers, the Jezzails, the Hawk and Long Rifles, the Crane Gunners, and then you got to kite the dwarves out. But you're not going to get enough damage out quickly enough to stay stationary. You are going to have to pivot and run and kite. So we're going to see if the Cathay player has that that micro in them, because it's not the hardest micro to pull off, but it is a little more intensive than some Cathay builds, keeping your Crane Gunners all running and shooting effectively in different times. Dwarf Warriors have collided with the Jade Warriors. Blasting Charges also loosening them up, so the Crane Gunners are running out of time to fire freely before they're going to have to start walking and shooting at the same time. Crane Gunners have done a lot of damage to the cannons, and it looks like Jade Lancers are also going to get a flank off, so the cannons are doomed. Can the Dragonback Slayers get any vengeance upon them? Will be really the question. But here we go. Crane Gunners beset by dwarves. They start to pull back now, but those Iron Drakes already doing a lot of damage to them. The other ones are going to have to run soon as well. Do they get the orders to flee? It does not look like it. Miners are sprinting for them. Axes out, lads. Pickaxes are still axes. And yeah, the Crane Gunners aren't going to run away, so they get beset by Miners. Miners won't kill them super quickly, but they will kill them. Crane Gunners dying off. Cathay is looking a little rough. Bounce power is 50-50, but I am less sure as the Dragonback Slayers catch themselves a Jade Lancer. The Jade Lancer is going to get a quick charge on the back of a cannon, trying to give themselves that little charging leadership bonus to keep them in the fight for just a second as more Jade Lancers are coming in. But the Dwarves are pulling ahead on the bounce power, and I definitely agree. The Crane Gunners did not end up kiting. They ended up trying to hold their ground, and they just can't do it. Like, there's too many Dwarves, and that's pretty rough. Looks like we might have the Lord Snipe onto Belgar coming in. Storm of Shadows to slow him. I saw the Ancestral Warrior Summon coming in, but he canceled it to finish the slow. So he's slowing him so that the time the summon comes out, he's not getting too far away. And then the Ancestral Warriors can catch him and apply Frostbite, and then he's stuck. See, now he's got 8 speed. So that was a really good combo. I like it. It's a desperation play because he's trying to Lord Snipe quick to try and get some balance of power back, try and get some angle back into this game. But a nice play regardless. Grace of Kiin. Oh, the Celestial Dragon Crossbows. Honestly, I thought the Grace of Kiin is just the name of the unit for a second, because I usually only see Celestial Dragon Crossbows that are the Regiment renowned. But they're running away from Miners, just trying to kite them out as best they can. Jade Lancers charging into Long-Drawn Slayer Pirates and other Slayer Pirates. These guys are Slayers. Unbreakable, decently high weapon strength, but unlike their cousins, they don't have bonus versus large, so they're actually really not that good versus cavalry, and the Jade Lancers are going to finish them off eventually. Iron Drakes peeling away Jade Lancers. Crane Gunners look like they're going to rally in the distance as other ones are starting to kite out Dwarf Warriors, but I wonder if too much damage has been done too quickly for the kite to work now. As these Slayer Pirates, as long as they get attack orders on the Crane Gunners, they'll be fine. They can shoot their pistols at them if they try and run away, and if they don't try and run away, then, I mean, the Slayers just catch you, and that's that, right? They also have higher speed, so they will catch them. Ancestral Warrior is propping up the balance of power. I think you'll see it shift decently, significantly in 2 seconds, 1. Yeah, I saw a whole blip when that whole unit just went away, which, a blip is a blip, but as far as losing 1 unit, the balance of power shifting visibly, that's pretty rough. Slayer Pirates did catch themselves another Crane Gunner. Other Crane Gunners trying to kite, and a Storm of Shadows is actually going to buy them a little bit more space, slowing down these Dwarf Warriors and letting them go. I don't know where your damage is going to come from. Do you play Space Marine 2? I did play Space Marine 2. It's pretty great. I don't play it like much anymore. I have some high school friends I still play with every Sunday night, and we're recently playing Crusader Kings and Coral Island. So we're not currently playing Space Marine, but we'll get back to it. It's kind of like Vermintide, one of those games we just cycle back in for a couple weeks and then we'll play something else for a while. Sego's shaming you people for not giving likes because, I don't know, you're mean. Just got out of match 4. What up, Airstrikes? More Dwarf Warriors are collapsing in on the Celestial Dragon crossbows. Jade Warriors get a nice charge into the side to try and buy them some space, but there's only so much space you can get for them. Crane Gunners and the Lord working in the corner. Oof. Wow, they are cornered, though. Are these sheepdogs or dwarves? Because they're herding these Crane Gunners right back into the corner. They're like, hey, hey, you're running out of places to run to. The Crane Gunners with their back against the wall. They're like, shit, turning fire, I guess. But as soon as they rout, they're going to go right off the map. That's hilarious. Literally cornered them. All right, Crane Gunners are running. And I think that's the last Crane Gunner on the map. Yeah, so now it's just the Celestial Dragon crossbows, a super wounded Jade Lancer, and then the Lord to kill all these dwarves. I don't think it's going to happen. Balance of Power is going to army loss. As soon as that flag disappears, it's army losses. Calling it, calling it, calling it. Kobe! It's done. Does Celestial Dragon crossbows have 22 melee attack? I could have checked, but the game ended. I imagine yes. I know their melee attack is solid, but not good enough to fight dwarves, unfortunately. The Grand Cathay build is good. It's just got a kite. It's got a kite, which is a pretty dishonorable thing to do. But you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You can't not kite. What, are you just gonna fight them in melee like some pussy? Kiting is for real, man. Now you don't know what my opinion is because it went all over the place during that. All right, and then that's the same game from the other side. So people look like they're wrapping up round 4. I got a message, Bird. Bird, are you still in the chat? Okay. I messaged Bird. He's adminning the tournament. The tournament's by RTK. Thanks to them for running this. I'm just casting it. While we think, you'll see some here that things I've labeled new players. For the new players that are competing for the DLC keys or whatever, do remember there was a second part of the prize where I guarantee I will cast 1 game of yours. Do remember to DM me on Discord the replay you want cast. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be super competitive or whatever. Like, you just, if it's one where you did really well and you liked it, or one where you wanted some advice or something, you get 1 free replay cast that I will make into a video and put on YouTube. So do remember to get those in. You see Duck Shark sent me this one. I'm gonna cast it. I'm gonna load it up. I'm gonna cast it no matter what. Curie's got me one. Path to Power got me one. So yeah, Even if you don't get the DLC keys, you know, if you got 3 wins and then the event ends, still send me a replay. It's fine. Yo. Okay. I'm just asking the tournament host if I'm casting 2 semifinals in a final or just finals. Yes, semis. Okay. I will cast all 3 of those. Replays though to avoid lag. Sounds good. So after the Swiss stage, we'll have 3 best of 1s to do, which I will get to, but I just wanted to know what I'm planning for. Moving on, casting more random games from the Swiss. Let's go up. Let's go up. So we've cast a bunch of stuff on Bloodpine Woods because I've been casting shit from round 2. Let's go to round 1 for a second. So I've cast King. I've cast Path to Power. Oh, that looks fun. I do want to cast that. That looks very fun, but I'll get back to it. I've cast Airstrikes and Dniper already. I think we just cast Auge. I think we've also cast Curie. I have not cast Hamza. I'm just making sure that like everybody gets a little bit of time in the sun. Okay, so wait, let's go find Doc Karaz. Okay. I think we have actually cast all of the River Amexon ones. It is what it is. Okay, there was one that really stuck out to me, even though I'd already cast both the players. I just really freaking want to see this, and then we'll get back to players I haven't cast yet. But it was right. Look at this. How could you not want to cast this? It's fucking Scarbrand versus demons with actual Nurgle units, because earlier in the stream I said all the demon Nurgle units are bad, and this player's like, hold my beer, you piece of shit. Hi, Bird. Yes, I'm sorry, I see you. I'm sorry, there was a delay. I was looking at Discord. I'm sorry. Curie, I'll have to apologize in your replay. Got it. You got it, buddy. All right. For this build, Forsaken of Khorne frontline, backed up by Chaos Warriors with Halberds, the Hellforged Host, 2 Minotaurs of Grey Opens, and Scarbrand, the Exiled, with his Breath Attack. Don't see that often. And then his AoE Rampage and Self Rampage for damage. On the other side, we have Plague Bearers of Nurgle, Nurglings, Exalted Plague Bearers, Barons of the Bog, Beast of Nurgle, then Bringers of Beguilement, the Sour Guts, the Festering Stooges, a Blood Shrine, and a Demon Prince of Slaanesh. I actually think I kind of get what he's going for. Yep, there it is. Enfeebling Foe. So the Demon Prince of Slaanesh has some of the most debuffs in the game, just attached to his base kit. He has Soporific Musk, Fiendish Musk, and Paragon of Excess. So he alone can reduce your melee attack by 18. Then the Blood Shrine of Khorne gives you melee attack and leadership, but we'll get there. The Barons of the Bog also decrease your weapon strength and mass. The Beast of Nurgle has Slime Trail, reduces your melee attack. So this Demons of Chaos build is meant to give Nurgle units melee attack, which they normally don't have, and it's meant to take away Khorne's melee attack and just kind of make them inept. I don't think it'll work, but it is pretty funny. That's pretty hilarious. Now, from my experience, Khorne has enough melee attack to eat all of your debuffs and just chunk through it anyway, but that is pretty funny. Same guy who said flame cans were C2 artillery. Shaking my head. All right, everybody hates me is what I'm getting, because I don't understand nuance, so if you disagree with me, you must hate me. Greenskins versus Wood Elves with armies made up of no more than 3 units with no overlapping words in their names. Yes, Will. Yes. All right, this is what I was worried about. The Demon Prince dives onto Scarbrand, and we're getting some really good damage from the Festering Stooges grenades, but the Demon Prince is completely surrounded by Minotaurs and getting chunked out, down to 2/3 HP and falling. And the Demons of Chaos need their Lord more than Khorne does. Khorne's leadership is generally better. Khorne has mortal units that won't instantly disappear, and Khorne's army ability isn't based off of how much damage their lord does. So losing your lord to the demons, you are at a triple disadvantage versus Khorne losing their lord. This is pretty rough. And he's not even, it doesn't look like he's going to finish Scarbrand, but he himself is going to die. It's a pretty rough start for the Demons of Chaos. Now elsewhere, their front line is going great. Oh, there, the Bringers Beguilement also have Charmed, another melee attack debuff. So this whole Demon's build is just debuffing the melee attack of Khorne, which is super hilarious, and I love it. But anyway, I digress. The frontline fight is going pretty well for the Demons of Chaos, but their lord dying was rough. Now, Khorne did dedicate a lot of resources to that, so they need to now reallocate those resources towards the front line to stop the bleeding. The Minotaurs have to get involved, and it looks like they are, though I do wish they were a little more spread out, like one involved in this fight, another one maybe getting into the back line and charging the Sour Guts or something, but it's okay. It's a pretty condensed fight, so I guess wherever they go, they're going to be close to the other Minotaurs. Scarbrand's also kind of bitching out a little early. I understand you don't want to lose him, I get that, but you still have 3,000 HP. Percent and numbers are different. Like, 1/3 HP on Balthazar Gelt is a lot less than 1/3 HP on Scarbrand. Scarbrand's still got a lot of love left to give, and he's going to have to get in there if you're going to win this game. Hellforged Hosts are continuing to fight it out, but we have Forsaken starting to rout, Chaos Warriors with Halberds starting to rout, and the Minotaurs are not looking so good all on their own. But the balance of power is an incredibly deceptive mistress when you're playing as the Demons of Chaos. When your stuff starts to mock instability crumbling, that turns on you very quickly. As Scarbrand comes up, I thought I saw him start a breath attack. It just kind of came out of his mouth and didn't do anything. It didn't count either. He charges in and rampages the Sour Guts to stop them from shooting at him. He is going to go in there and get some kills. So good to see Scarbrand back in the fight. Balance power is very against Khorne at this point. I am not sure. If we have a Sword of Khorne coming on one of these blobs, it could turn the game around. If we have a leadership bomb coming and all these guys all of a sudden decide to just demonic instability crumpling, it could turn around. But man, there are a lot of demons still pretty far ahead, and man, there's not a lot of Khorne left, so it's looking rough. But again, legitimately, I have seen games like this turn around where the demons just lose gusto and fall apart. We have another terror out in from the Chaos Warriors with Halberds, though that's pretty rough. Those were one of the last units for Khorne really standing. Now it's just down to Hellforged Host and Scarbrand himself to get this done. We really need a Sword of Khorne somewhere just to even the playing field of how many bodies are left fighting as the Festering Stooges get attacked by Scarbrand. But Scarbrand blows a Horn of Khorne, meaning that's probably not gonna give us a Sword of Khorne at any point if he's already using tier 1 army abilities, but I think he just needed to do something. Didn't have a Sword of Khorne available to really turn this around, and he just gets ground out. Hey Garrett, welcome to Warp Fire Thrower. Appreciate you. Neither build has almost any mobility. Facts. So the debuff build of Path to Power was enough to stop Khorne's advance. The Forsaken got trucked on. Halberds did a little better than the Forsaken, but not great. Hellforged Host did well. Minotaurs overall did fine. Scarbrand did fine. For Path to Power, his lord got sniped pretty quickly. Nurglings also got murdered. Plague Bearers did fine, especially the Exalted Plague Bearers with their grenades did a little bit better. Sour Guts did fine. Barons of the Bog did well. Bloodtrend of Khorne did very well. GG's. Okay, that was worth the distraction, but now back to casting only people we haven't seen. Break it down now, y'all. King Squish says, I lost every game I brought Scarbrand. I won every game I brought Slaughterbrute. From this, we can see Slaughterbrute is greater than Scarbrand. I will not be taking questions. That's pretty funny. All right, everybody shut up. We got to go find different players we haven't cast. So I think we cast Curie, but I'm not sure. So I will cast another Curie game just to make sure I didn't skip the guy. Cast both those players. Cast both those players. Cast both those. Cast both those. Cast both those. Both those. I don't think I've cast Alberic. I don't know if I've cast Hamsa yet. So I will do that one just to make sure I get these two players. But after that, do I owe anybody? Let's see. Maybe Curie. Okay, so after this game and then a Curie game, then I think I've cast everybody who sent me something. Barons of the Bog did what? The Barons of the Bog did okay. They did okay. They did fine. I made a mode that cap all AP damage in the game at 64% called Tanky Warrior 64. It also reduces magic nukes. Will you try it? We have a pretty active mod scene on our Discord. So maybe. I can't guarantee I'll like cast anything from it, but I'm willing to like try it for fun, sure. My general thing is like a lot of people who watch my replays will never play in tournaments, so they usually play like quick battles, and some people, I don't know the percentage of my audience, but I know there's a percentage of my audience that watches my videos to get ideas for themselves to how to win. So I generally don't like to put modded content out there because it gets less views, because that subsection of my audience, however large it is, doesn't engage with that content because it's not teaching them anything they can use, and they just disengage. So yeah. Now I have done modded stuff in the past, like for fun, so I'm not against it. I'm just cautioning before you get your hopes up too far, where it's like, no, I probably won't run like a bunch of tournaments on any type of mod or anything, just because again the viewership incentive is not there once you change the game too much. But we gotta focus up. We gotta focus up on the game right in front of us. Kislev versus Bretonnia. For Bretonnia, we have a Green Knight, Lewin Leancoeur, and then a Damsel of Life with just Earthblood. Front line of peasants and peasant long spears, and then we have some archers with pox arrows or regular, and 2 field trebuchets with some Knights of the Realm in the back. On the other side for Kislev, we have Boris Ursus, who is slamming the Green Knight because he has magic damage, getting rid of most of the reason the Green Knight is any good. And we have Ulrika Magdava, who's also pretty good against the Green Knight, just dueling wise. Melkoth's for her is nice. Little Grom trying to snipe out the trebuchet models, and then we have Kossars with spears, armored Kossars, Griffin Legion, and horse archers on the low ground. This Kislev build looks pretty darn good against what Bretonnia brought. Green Knight still getting run down by Boris. Melkoth slows him. Blinded also slows him from Ulrika, so a lot of slows, but he is still going to get to safety. He'll be just fine. And Boris ends up plowing into some spearmen at arms. Lewin's going to countercharge, but Lewin is not nearly as good of a duelist as Boris is. Boris is much better. Boris is much better. With, of course, an exception to Crustacean Nation by Lucy, of course. So Griffin Legion going to get a free charge on Knights of the Realm, who were caught sleeping a little bit. They didn't notice those guys coming in. Griffin Legion with their devastating charge should get a really good trade for a while, and then they'll start to wear off, and you can see he's pulling back already. Under Archer Fire also doesn't want to overstay his welcome, so Kislev is pulling in and really harassing around Bretonnia. Bretonnia's trebuchets are having a hard time out-trading Little Grom as well. The Little Grom has stopped trying to compete with them and is now just shooting at Knights of the Realm. I guess assessing that the trebuchets aren't as much of a threat, so there's no point in neutralizing them, and instead wants to kill the cavalry. And that's a solid choice. As you can see, a really big hit down the side of those Knights of the Realm there, so nice big damage. These games are land battles, not conquest. Is there a rule set, Jack Norman? Even though I know who you are and I know you're baiting me, but yeah, they're land battles, not conquest. Generally, no forest camping, no white line camping allowed. You need to be attacking with something at all times. That does not mean everything at all times. For example, if this game the trebuchets were shooting at one side and the Little Grom shooting the other side, nothing else on the battlefield actually has to do anything because the artillery are firing. But just generally try and deal damage somewhere at some point in time and you're good to go. Griffin Legion getting chased down by the Knights of the Realm. My Grom missed so many shots on the trebs, half ammo spent, only 1 model taken down. I got you, Hamza. The game's still going pretty well for you so far. Griffin Legion do get caught napping by the Knights of the Realm, just as I say that. Cast a curse. They are poisoned by peasant bowmen and charged by Knights of the Realm. That is a very expensive cav piece to be taking that much damage. The peasants are starting to march, get into the Kossars and armored Kossars of Kislev, be a nuisance while Boris holds down the front line. And the Melkoth's caster just overcast Melkoth's on something. Knights of the Realm. Got it. A little bit of damage there. Good spell. Little Grom's still firing. He's now switched onto the Damsel of Life. And Kislev's going to have a hard time clearing out all of these chaff infantry. They just brought so few of infantry of their own in comparison that they're going to struggle. These are archers. They're not regular infantry, so they won't, like, kill a bunch of peasants that quickly. Griffin Legion on the far side. Looks like they've been pretty much eliminated. Yep, there they go. Other Griffin Legion holding in the trees for now against the Knights of the Realm, but Kislev's cavalry is nearly a spent force. Boris is still incredibly healthy and ready to fight anybody who gets in his way, but Bretonnia has been trying to stay out of his way. In comes the ultra slow. 3 slows stacking on top of each other to bring the Green Knight speed down to 8 as Ulrika and Boris move in. But then Boris casts his Fury of Urson for a Rampage, and the Rampage takes him away from the Green Knight. Unfortunate target selection there for the Rampage, which of course the player can't control, but it is what it is. Boris gets distracted, and Ulrika now tries to finish off the Green Knight on her own. She does not have magic damage, though she does have decent dueling stats, and the Green Knight is very low on HP. But he does turn and start to fight her. Really depends if he gets healing or not. Boris is running away from Lewin, who has popped a debuff. Boris seems more interested in finishing off the Green Knight than dealing with Lewin. He could win either of these fights, but he wants to finish that Ghostly Knight before he gets Earthbloods or something like that. So good prioritization. I do like it from Boris, just trying to finish the fight. Green Knight can take one more melee attack. Lewin tries to peel for him, but it's not gonna happen. Boris, you missed a key shot, you piece of shit. There we go. Boris takes him down. The Green Knight is dead. And now Lewin probably wants to get out of here. He does not want to fight Boris for too long. Even at half HP, Boris is incredibly dangerous, and Lewin is just not up to the task of beating him in melee, especially with Ulrika coming in. This is getting incredibly dangerous for Bretonnia. Elsewhere, Bretonnia is doing very well. Kislev has attritioned out a lot of their archers, a lot of their artillery and cavalry, but the peasants still march forward with their pointy sticks, and pointy sticks can do a lot of work. But if Lewin dies here, Bretonnia actually might be cooked. I don't know if they can finish Boris and the rest of the Kislevites with lowered leadership and no source of terror. And yeah, Ulrika, everybody's just kind of cooking Lewin right now. He's down to half HP. He's trying to get away. The frostbite consistently from Boris is not letting him leave. But then Boris kind of wanders off into space and time for no reason. Just some casual Warhammer jank that we all know and love. And then peasants are here to peel. Lewin will get back into the sky, but a really good trade for Kislev in a game that was slipping away from them. This little Grom shoots him in the back of the head, says, "Hey, I didn't hear no bell, you son..." Nope, no swearing, family-friendly channel. "You son of a gun. I did not hear no auditory device that indicates this fight has ended." Final shot out, final shot hits. Lewin takes a big old chunk of damage. Meanwhile, Boris and Ulrika are now starting to chase the Damsel of Life around. Hit her with a Melkoth for the speed debuff. It's not going to do that much damage to her, but it's just so Ulrika can start to really close the gap between them. As they're getting a charge in, nearby Knights of the Realm are here, and their literal job is to save damsels in distress. And this damsel's in distress. She led Ulrika and Boris right into the Knights of the Realm. The Knights of the Realm were trying to charge over here, and she was like, "No, you saved me!" And they get distracted by the Bear Man, who just pops his fury. And now Boris is going ham on those Knights of the Realm, while Ulrika is back to hunting the damsel, really trying to turn this game around. And I do think it could be turned around. I agree with the balance of power. Bretonnia is favored for sure, but I do think there is that sliver of red. You take out the caster, Boris and Ulrika finish off Lewin, and then honestly the rest of this Bretonnian build is one healthy Knight of the Realm, and everything else is so close to dead you could finish them off. But Boris gets abandoned. Ulrika, you traitorous person, get back here. Where are you going? I know she's trying to finish off the damsel, but Boris is just fighting all alone, trying to take down Lewin and the Knights of the Realm. He's getting chunked out. Buyer blood is going to wear off at some point. He's going to shatter. That'll probably be the game if he doesn't just die while he's in unbreakable. He does die, taking the hopes of Kislev with him in a pretty banger of a game, but Ulrika's not going to be able to finish this out by herself. Army losses will take over, and that's GG. Ulrika. The horse just disintegrated into nothingness, and then she was left without a saddle. That was kind of weird. Little ground fire blood wears off in 3, 2, 1. GG. Okay, so we have our top four. Hirnchurig, Airstrikes, Alberic de Bordelot, and Curie. So we just saw an Alberic game. And we might have seen a Curie game. I don't know, but we're going to cast another one. So I will be casting semifinals and finals now that the Swiss stage is over. But they haven't happened yet. But yeah, those are our top four coming out of the Swiss stage. What's next is just a quick best of one bracket, semifinals and finals. So 3 games left for those players. We'll cast all 3 of those guaranteed, but for now, we'll just buy some time while they play them. Most accurate human boy calling the end of the game. I know, it's shocking I got that one right. So we aren't sure if we got a Curie game, and also this one just looked interesting. Curie's Chaos Dwarves versus CB Ajuros regular Dwarves. As I check my phone to see if anything important happened. Nope. Let's go! Hobgoblin Wolf Raider Spears in the Vanguard, a Dreadquake Mortar, regular, not attached to a chariot or anything. Chaos Dwarf Warriors with great weapons for the front line. For those, yep. Okay, no Infernal Guard. 2 Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses, a Cathay Fireborn, and then double Taurus. One is a Great Taurus, and the other one is a Bale Taurus, ridden by Drazoeth the Ashen, his only spell being the Flames of Asgore. On the other side, for the Dwarves, we have no cannons, so no good ways to counter fire against the Dreadquake Mortar until you get nice and close. Miners with Blast and Charges, Dwarf Warriors for the front line. We have Iron Drakes with Trollhammer Torpedoes and Regulars, Dragonback Slayers, Miners with Blast and Charges, Thunderers. So a very wide and diverse front line of Dwarven infantry, led by a Rune Lord with Rune of Wrath and Ruin and the Rune of Slowness, and then a Gargrim Iron Fist. Interesting. The only Slayer hero that doesn't have anti-large is the one they went with, but he's still pretty good, as decent stats. Magic damage for those Cathay. Big thing I gotta see here from the Dreadquake Mortar. The Dreadquake Mortar needs to retarget onto the Trollhammer Torpedoes. The Trollhammer Torpedoes are the main threat to it. Thunderers are bad, Slayers are bad, yeah. But the Trollhammer is the only thing with the consistent range to really shoot the Dreadquake Mortar while not being harassed by the front line. So it's gotta retarget onto them quite quickly, in my opinion, or if those Trollhammers get in range, that Dreadquake Mortar is going to disintegrate before your eyes. I guess it is positioned on a hill, making the targeting a little awkward, but there is still plenty of space for those Trollhammer Torpedoes to get in range and fire. I think it's pronounced aggro. I refuse to pronounce it correctly. The Tauruses are going to get involved as Iron Drakes try and peel for themselves. Thunderers also trying to get a shot or 2 off, and this does distract the Trollhammer Torpedoes, maybe giving the Dreadquake Mortar a couple more crucial shots, but you're distracting from one expensive object with another expensive object. It's not a bad idea to shoot this guy. Drazoeth gets hit with the Master Rune of Slowness. Gargrim charges him, and he's getting shot, so it is pretty rough out there. Big Overcast Flames of Asgore right on top of the Dragonback Slayers, who are filing in to a disaster. There they all go. The Thunderers and the Dragonback Slayers annihilated one giant spell. Dragonback Slayers are, of course, unbreakable, so they're going to stick in there and still fight anyway, but god damn, that was rough. Cathay Fireborn, beautiful spread, disrupting 3 units all at the same time. And for the new players that I've been talking to in my Discord, when I say spread out your ranged units, this is the exact kind of shit that I'm worried about. When they're spread out, they can peel for each other, but when they're together, they get clumped up and disrupted by 1 Cathay Fireborn, so that's pretty brutal. Very good start here for the Chaos Dwarves. Very good start. Dreadquake Mortar is switching targets, which is smart. The Dreadquake does the most damage on its first volley against a unit when you have full health and full models, but as your models start to die, you'll take less and less damage, so it is pretty smart to just do max damage to a bunch of different units rather than really snipe out one specific unit. Chaos Dwarf Warriors are holding for now, doing well against the Chaos Dwarves, against the regular Dwarves where they find them, but the problem is that their front line is so minimal compared to the Dwarves that you can see the Dwarves are just leaking through the cracks. 1 Dwarf Warrior found their way onto the Dreadquake Mortar, another one is harassing the Blunderbusses, so the Chaos Dwarves are trying to cover a lot of space with few units. Dreadquake Mortar shot onto 2 Dwarf Warriors. I missed down here. It is brutal, great damage, but there was some decent friendly fire on your own Chaos Dwarf Warriors. So Both sides taking a lot of damage from that volley as the Dreadquake tries to keep focus despite being attacked by Dwarfs. Dwarfs! Gargrim is peeling a bit of Cathay Fireborn, his magic damage doing well against their physical resistance. They are decently resistant to the fire damage of the Iron Drakes coming in, but damage is still damage. And they're about to lose their Unbreakable. Once they take enough damage, they lose that Unbreakable trait, and they become just normal demonic units, which means they are fragile and easily frightened. We have Rallying Dwarves. Rallying Dwarves do need new attack orders to turn around, face the right way, start shooting at the problems that are assaulting them as the Great Taurus is trying to do a little bit of peeling. Cathay Fireborn are about to fade away. The Dreadquake Mortar is still trying to find some safety next to the Blunderbusses, but it is going to block their arc of fire. Some of them stuck, not being able to shoot past that big chariot. The force is downhill. For the Dwarves, they're attritioning out pretty bad. I'm getting a little concerned about their staying power in this game. There's a decent amount of Dwarves, but all their HPs are very low, making them easy prey for Drazoeth to continually dive them. Gargrim, the Dragonback Slayer, is starting to hunt the Dreadquake Mortar, and that is a lot of balance of power value just sitting on the map waiting to be sniped out. So if you do kill that thing, you can make your chances of getting army lost significantly less dangerous, but it is still a task to kill it, especially with Drazoeth sitting right there. So Gargrim and his other Slayers are just going to go for the more easily acquired targets of the Blunderbusses. Dragonback Slayers with their slow, this unit already was going to have a tough time getting away, but they're definitely not going anywhere now, so they know they just have to stand and fight. Meanwhile, Gargrim is harassing the other one. Rune of Wrath and Ruin out onto the Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Get some decent damage down as your own Dwarf Warriors are so close to routing. But with the Rune Lord nearby, maybe he gives enough leadership. He does not to keep them in the battle for now. Drazoeth and the Dreadquake Mortar continuing to harass the various amounts of Dwarves that are just out scattered along the snowy hills, but a Thunderer is getting slow poke down in there. Iron Drake's fighting a random Bale Taurus. Great Taurus. Great Taurus. And there aren't that many Dwarves coming to save you now. If you look around, there's really not that many reinforcements to come back. Like if these miners come back, hooray, some blasting charges. It's something, but it's not like gonna kill Drazoeth or anything. So really, a lot of what you have left to try and win this game are right here. It is the healthy Rune Lord. It is the 10 Dragonback Slayers, unfortunately. It's the half health and increasingly in danger Gargrim. Things are getting a little bit rough out here. Dreadquake Mortar is thinking about routing down to 1300 HP as miners continue to hack away at its little iron wheels. And the scantily clad ogre, delicious, is just standing there, not really helping. Starting to rout, big damage from that Iron Drake volley. The Dreadquake Mortar close to shattering, but isn't going to shatter just yet. Can the Tauruses carry? Is hard. It's hard to say. If there were more alive Slayers, I would say definitely not, but there's just Gargrim, who's the only non-anti-large Slayer we have. Dragonbacks are attritioned out. Rune Lord is a non-combat Lord. He doesn't live that life. Man, if we could get a Rune of Wrath and Ruin here, that would even up this game. Because these are the last real healthy infantry of the Chaos Dwarfs, so just a nice Rune of Wrath and Ruin, finish them both off, save Gargrim some health, because he really needs his health to fight the Bale Tauruses later. And these Chaos Dwarfs are just poking him down. They're not going to kill him outright. He should beat these Chaos Dwarf Warriors, but the problem is every ounce of HP he has, he needs to fight those big bulls. Otherwise, this game is over. So the Chaos Dwarf Warriors attritioning him out is a brutal loss condition for the Dwarves. They've got to figure out a way to get past it. Rune Lords running downhill to be near Gargrim in case shit pops off again. Dragonback Slayers, I like this. There's only 4 of them left, so they're just going to go charge those Blunderbusses that have just rallied. Make sure they don't come back and like and do anything a little snaggy. Ooh, was that a Flames of Asgore? That was. Flames of Asgore shatters off the last of the Dwarven reinforcements, but a Rune of Wrath and Ruin tries to disrupt the Blunderbusses. One of those was not like the other, as all 5 units are routing. The other one just got mildly damaged. Chaos Dwarfs getting the better of that little magic parade. And Drazoeth is here rampaging through, gets a double hit onto the Rune Lord. Things are looking dire. If the Dwarves are going to win, they need to win now. And there they started. Both the Rune Lord and Gargrim both hit with their first melee attack. I saw a double chunk of damage. There's another chunk. And this is how they win, is if Gargrim can just chop away at Drazoeth. He's taking so much damage, though, both from the Giant Bull and from the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, but he's getting there. He's getting there. Oh, big damage. Oh, it's a disaster. He's gonna die. He's down. Drazoeth took him out. That's GG. Rune Lord can't carry this game. It's just not gonna happen. Gargrim was the meat and potatoes of this meal, and all you have left is a room temperature glass of water. Drazoth charges back in. And that's probably going to seal it. As soon as this guy routes, I could see army losses happening. That was a pretty close game, but it's over now. He routes, army losses hits. GG. $2,800 value on Drazoth. Chaos Warriors all did pretty fine. Blunderbusses did pretty fine. The Great Taurus struggled a little bit. Cathay Fireborn did well. Drake Mortar did very well. Azuro. Straight Jimmy's trying to get me to say it's aggro. It's not aggro. Rune Lord did okay. I mean, he's supportive, so you don't really expect him to get his value. Gargrim got good value. Dragonback Slayers got good value. Dwarf Warriors did pretty well, actually. Blasting Charges did okay. Thunderers did okay. Iron Drakes did all right. Troll Hammer Torpedoes got shut down by the Cathay Fire Run right away. That was good. Very good. Someone said something about subject us to the vampire counts grind fest. I'm trying to see what you're talking about. I didn't even know we had vampire counts in this tournament. We don't. You lied to me. Why would you do that? Okay. We don't have a semifinal yet, so I'm just going to look at the replays submitted here and see if one of them strikes my fancy to cast while we wait for the semifinals. But the only replays I guarantee to cast for the rest of this are going to be 2 semifinals and a final. So we'll cast those, but any of these in front of you, I'm just going to pick at them if I have any waiting time, but everybody got at least one game, so it's something. I feel like I could see some more Vampire Coast action from Chulu. I think we saw just their game versus Korn at the start, so fuck it. There's a VC game. It's Vampire Coast. Boo. I mean, I like the Vampire Coast, don't get me wrong. It's just, we tend to call them, we call them VP on our server so that people can tell the difference between Vampire Counts and Coast. So it's Vampirates versus Vampire Counts. But Telis is just pulling my leg. All right, for the Vampire Coast, we have 2 Depth Guard pole arms on the flanks, a front line of Zombie Power Deckhand mobs, some pole arms with some not. Handgunners, deck gunners, 2 of each, and then Rotting Promethean gunnery mobs, one of which is the ROR, and then Celostra Aleta Nesfata on her crab. She brought both of her summons, then Tide Call, and Vangeist's Revenge. There is a counts game too. I don't know if there's a counts game in this tournament, though. I think that's one of the new player replays is submitted to me for independent videos for like the contest winners stuff, but like it's different. It's different. It's different. For the Dark Elves, we have 2 Dark Riders, 2 Cold Wind Dread Knights, a Harpy Malekith on his dragon with Soul Stealer and Chill Wind for his spells, and then Bleak Swords, Blackheart Corsairs, a single Reaper Bolter, and 2 Dark Shards. Okay. I like it. You don't see a lot of Malekith for various reasons. He tends to be pretty expensive up on his dragon. He's getting some decent spells out, but he is getting poked by those handguns. He has to be a little careful. Little careful. Little more careful. Hey! Get out of there, line of fire. You get out of there. You know what you did. Reaper Bolter is getting a lot of damage down on the deck gunners who are firing away at the Dark Elf front line now that it is in range. Shield Breaker knocking some of these poor elves off their feet, and actually a giant crab is going to knock a couple more of them off their feet. She's not even going to charge them. She's just going to walk right through them. Watch this. Watch it. My God, she didn't even have to attack us. She just walked over us. Cavalry coming into the flanks, they will have crabs to deal with, but a couple of them could slip through, and deck gunners are so fragile, like any sniper unit is in this game, that they could just die instantly. I mean, Malekith's even going to land on them. Handgunners are trying to turn to the sides. They're trying to decide between shooting the cavalry or shooting the giant dragon man. Either is a good option. They have so far elected for neither because range stuff. This looks more like range jank than player error because these guys are just like not in formation pivoted a weird way. So I think they dropped attack orders mid-turn. Now they're wandering out. Ooh. Vangeist's Revenge shot at something. I didn't see that. That was my bad. I missed it. But the Damned Knights Errant are in the background. The Summon takes out the Root Bolt Thrower entirely. Solastra's stopping up some people. So the coast is getting some damage back in some key areas, but their gun line is entirely disrupted. Malekith and the Harpies have taken out both of the sniper units, and then both of the handguns got forced out of the formation off to the sides to try and buy themselves some space, and they're just not going to be able to turn and shoot anymore. We'll see if Solastra and the Depth Guard are able to beat the rest of what the Dark Elves have in melee. I am suspicious. As the Dark Shards keep firing away. Where's the second Depth Guard? There he is. He's in the background chasing the Golden Dread Knights. So both Depth Guards still very healthy, and one actually caught the Golden Dread Knights and murdered them. Oh, I guess they only have 300 value against a 1,400, 1,200, 1,400 value unit. It's expensive, so they didn't kill all of it by themselves, but they are getting good damage value out. Lampert's Revenge also still getting solid damage. Vampire Coast holding that balance of power at even after their Damned Knights Errant has faded away, and they are going to throw another summon out of the Rotting Prometheans. This lady also used a Vangeist's Revenge, so she's rolling in Winds of Magic apparently. Malekith is pathing straight over here though. Soul Stealer onto Solastra, heals himself of course, but also just gets key damage onto that non-healing Lord. There's no way to heal Solastra with the build that is present, so her health is finite. Rotting Prometheans without their own regeneration are not nearly as much of a monster, and they are getting whittled down by the slow efforts of the Dark Elves. We do have to see these Depth Guard probably regroup with Solastra in some way. Lampert's Revenge as well. Can't just leave her out to dry, but for now she still has some zombies. She has a summoned Rotting Promethean. I just mean like eventually. Can't let her just stay all alone. Nice job for the Rotting Prometheans keeping the Dark Shards at bay. The Dark Shards are a big threat to their giant crab lords. That's a solid use of their time. Wounded Depth Guard going to keep chasing cavalry and being annoying. The other more healthy Depth Guard is folding more into the center and more available. Rotting Promethean, Gunnery Mob, ROR cannot afford to be distracted by these already dead Bleak Swords, and they've got to come back to the fight. The Coast actually has some decent staying power left in this game, but just some misallocations of certain resources, whether conscious or whether just forgetting they're around. But I think the Lampert's Revenge are definitely forgotten at this point. Like, there's no way that's a conscious decision, so they do need to eventually come back into the fight. The Depth Guard are finishing up some last infantry, which is fine, but I would like to see at least one of the Depth Guard come to help Solastra. Maybe you don't want both of them here because of Soul Stealers and Blob Punishment. I get that, but one of them should be supporting her, and the Lampert's Revenge can't be chasing random infantry that long. So I'm not trying to be a dick, just offering advice. It's a pretty close game overall, so clearly not that bad. Tide Call on the Dark Shards knock them around and also trying to rout them, but Solastra's not able to, and you can see those armor-piercing missiles are really taking a toll on her HP. Malekith's hunting her down. She's just trying to get away for now. As the Depth Guard break through, they're going to rout the Harpies. They already routed the Blackguard Corsair Handbows, and now they're going to defend her. The Coast is not out of this just yet. Malekith is a very expensive centerpiece that is holding up a lot of this balance of power, but if he gets surrounded by the Lampert's Revenge for a good amount of time, he will die. If he gets surrounded by Depth Guard for a good amount of time, he will die. So there's plenty of things left on this battlefield to deal with him, as long as Solastra can get away. I actually wouldn't hate Solastra to just finish pulling through the Lampert's Revenge and just let them deal with Malekith. Meanwhile, the second Depth Guard has entirely faded. Solastra is also going to start crumbling. The other Depth Guard is continuing to battle away against Dark Elves, slowly healing up with their hunger as best they can. They're already quite damaged. Solastra gets some really good charge attacks through the infantry, and she manages to rout the Dark Shards with another Tide Call. That is perfect. Balance of power is way too negative on the Vampire Coast right now. Dark Elves are ahead. Dark Elves are ahead for sure, but it isn't army losses territory just yet. It needs to calm down. That Soul Stealer might send us into army losses though, which would be some bullshit. These Vampire Coasts still have life. Don't you pull them out just yet, you son of a bitch. Army losses hits. No, it's gonna start to it disintegrated them away, but they were doing fine. Hey, airstrikes. They were doing fine. The Lampert's Revenge had Malekith surrounded, and he had no support left coming that was really healthy in any way. Son of a biscuit. All right, our first semifinal is done. We'll catch that in a second. Depth Guard, really good value. The Gunners mostly got shut down. One of them almost paid for itself, and then Lampert's Revenge did fine. Solastra did fine. For Duck Shark, 3,100 value on Malekith. Nice job, Duck. if you're still in the chat. Dark Shards got a lot of value. They did pretty well. Cold and Dread Knights did okay. Harpies did okay. Bolthor did okay. GG. Here are my thoughts about the new players. If they're in my chat right now, they're pretty great. They're pretty fun. I hope they stick around. I think they're awesome. If they're not in my chat right now, man, those guys suck. Holy shit. They're terrible. Garbage. I never want to see them again in my life. Best wishes. Human boy. All right, we got a semifinal. Let's pull it up. Pull up that semifinal. Airstrikes versus Hirchung. Hirchirug. Curie versus Albrecht de Bordelot is still ongoing. We'll cast that when I get that replay. Grand Cathay and Slaanesh. So we actually did see Hirn take out a Grand Cathay box earlier, but this appears to be a different animal altogether. Airstrike's build is much larger, though a lot less elite. For Hirn, seems to have a similar build. He cut the Fiends and got a second Pleasure Seeker instead, deciding those did better. He does have a Demonette this time, but otherwise very similar build to what he used earlier versus a different player that I'm now forgetting who it was. And I feel bad. Was it... their name's like N4M something.
So fight hard, survive, and one day it may be you who is standing here.
All right. For the Cathay, front line of Jade Warriors, a back line of Jade Warrior Halberds, 2 Jade Warrior Crossbows, 4 actually total, 2 Iron Hail Gunners, the Zhengdu War Drum RR, the Jade War Drum with Disdain of the Dragon Emperor already procced, a Celestial General, butt naked on the ground with Brass Cleaver for some extra melee attack, and then an Astromancer with Curse of the Midnight Wind and Harmonic Convergence. Interesting. As something is getting cast in the Iron Hail Gunners right now, it is a Doombolt. Solid damage onto them from the Shadows Caster's spell. On the other side, we don't have much time to talk about it as this game is fast and furious apparently, but Pit of Shades, Melkoths on the Shadows Caster. We have the Mask with her Mortis Engine, Demonettes and Slongors for a front line, and then a bunch of Hellstriders to pick off anybody who runs away. But we do know there are 2 Pleasure Seekers. They must be in the trees behind me. Yes, they are. Pleasure Seeker's gonna have to get in here. So this is much more of what Cathay takes these days instead of the Balloon. The Balloon is safer up in the sky. You can't shoot it, but just the DPS of ground infantry is so much better than the sky junk. Pit of Shades is in on the Iron Hail Gunners already trying to take them out, but the archers are getting a horrible toll onto Slaanesh's front line. You can see the Demonettes. Slaanesh had the Demonettes before the DLC, and there was a reason that Cathay was such a hard matchup. They just don't get through Jade Warriors fast enough. Cathay's shooting is too strong, and they are going to start crumbling away. So a really rough start here for Slaanesh, but that is how it's going to look. Here come the new units that try and change this. Pleasure Seekers diving through the Iron Hail Gunners, and you can see their incredible mass and speed is why this was the box-breaking DLC for them. It is so hard for infantry to stop the Pleasure Seekers. The plan here was to win off stats. I got you. You're doing pretty well on the front line. You're doing pretty well on the front line here, Airstrikes, but those Pleasure Seekers are going to be a problem. Curse of the Midnight Wind Overcast, though, not going to go down without a fight. Lowers their armor to 0 and their melee attack to a paltry 17. That is brutal. So the Pleasure Seekers, you see they got a giant charge and mass disruption. Like, just take a look at the battlefield right now. Where the actual units are, like, they're scattered all over the place, right? So the even lines are gone. The clear firing lines for the archers are gone. So that's what the Pleasure Seekers are supposed to do. But with those debuff stats, they are still getting poked down by the Jade Warrior crossbows, and they are on a timer. One of the Pleasure Seekers has lost half its HP. The other one's still full health. The other one's fine, but one is actually even close to crumbling, and that's a very expensive unit to lose. Meanwhile, Slaanesh has moved on to the 2nd tier. We have some Jade Warrior crossbows trying to retreat through the Jade Warriors, trying to reform lines somewhere else, get some space to stand and shoot for a little bit. Slaanesh's infantry have been attritioned out pretty badly, and we can see their Hellstriders are also routing, so it is really down to the Mask and the Pleasure Seekers to win this. We have a Fascination army ability coming in, rampages Jade Warrior crossbows and does a lot of damage to them, stops them from firing, while the Mask is actually losing the fight to the Celestial General. As I say that, she actually gets a pretty good hit in here and there, but you would hope she would beat him a lot quicker than she is, and if Cathay can rally any support for the general, he actually might be able to finish off the Mask, which would be a huge problem for Slaanesh. But Slaanesh is hanging on. Low health bars are still health bars, and as long as they still have units that can run down and chase off anybody who routes, they can still win this game. A massive Pleasure Seeker charge from the backside of the Jade Warrior Crossbows takes half their HP off on contact, and more Jade Warriors are coming over. Jade Warrior Crossbows are turning and trying to fire. They're just trying to get any damage out they possibly can onto these Pleasure Seekers and get some of them to Demonic Stability Crumble or something, but the Pleasure Seekers just rolling through the Grand Cathay front line like chariots. Celestial General dangerously low on leadership. Disdain of the Dragon Emperor from the Zhengdu War Drone, keeping him in this fight for now. Slongors debuffed by the Curse of the Midnight Wind, but they're still getting good damage on the General, and they are going to rout him in a rough turn of events for Grand Cathay. Can they hold on? Slongors are running out of gusto. Soon we will be down to just halberds and boys versus Pleasure Seekers and the Mask. The halberds are starting to get drained. The dance of doom, dance of dreaming from Slaanesh. Big damage, and you can see unbraced, the Pleasure Seekers do so much damage on the charge, even to Jade Warrior Halberds. You didn't know the Pleasure Seekers existed? Yeah, the last Slaanesh DLC was entirely about box breaking. Standing the Dragon Emperor, keeping their immune to psychology on, which means they can't terror out from these spooky Slaaneshis. I actually don't know if Slaanesh brought any actual terror sources, but either way they can't. That's bad though. Celestial General officially died, meaning you're going to see the leadership completely fall apart for Cathay. Jade Warrior Halberds are starting to head for the hills, and there goes most of your damage. In another Curse of the Midnight Wind, the Celestial Astromancer guy is just trying to snipe out the Mask. It's a desperation play at the very end, but there's not much else he can do. Very close semifinal breakdown, but yeah, Airstrikes is in the chat talking to me right now, and it seems you didn't know about the Pleasure Seekers, which are essentially like, if you remember the Grail Knight rework, where Grail Knights just became chariots, Pleasure Seekers are that. They're squishy, but like, man, they do damage on the charge. And then the Mask of Slaanesh has a Mortis engine. I'm old and washed. Can I hop into this tournament? It goes 1 and 3. No, contrarian. You think all melee Cathay will be meta with Tigerman? Maybe. Tigerman is not out. This tournament obviously does not have the Tigerman, so they come out Thursday. Airstrikes, good attempt, creative build. I liked it. I think you need. So you asked how to win this. I think you need 2 Peasant Horsemen to countercharge the Pleasure Seekers. Just, I know they're gonna die, but you need something with mass to stop them from rolling through your infantry for free. And your Peasant Horsemen are going to get murdered, but at least you stop the Pleasure Seekers for a little bit while they get shot. Because one of the Pleasure Seekers you got a lot of damage onto, and you almost finished off. The other one, it was pretty healthy until the end. So yeah, if you could just get some mass somewhere in your build just to slow them down, and let your Halberds catch up, or let your Halberds get more shots in before they move away, or let your Archers get more shots in, it's just about time. So yeah, I think if you could cut 1 or 2 Jade Warrior Halberds and replace them with 1 or 2 Peasant Long Spears and 1 or 2 Peasant Horsemen, that could do you a little bit better. But it was a close game, so it's not like you have to change a ton, you know? Prime saying I'm washed and dumb. That's fair. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh. Kieran, how dare you ping me on Discord? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why don't you just type in the YouTube chat right here? Oh, people are typing dumb shit because they're dumb. No, that's not true. They're just typing things, which is fine. Okay, turn the opponent. So our other semifinal is not ready. Oh, yes, it is. One of the people just popped in and said GG. That means it's over. You don't do that in the middle of a game. I really hope you don't do that before the game even starts. Celestial Dragon Guard are not worth it. I generally think they're bad. I don't know why. Their stats seem fine, but in performance, they just never really live up to the hype. Codex is pinging me because he's a bad person. How dare you? When's it coming out? Thursday. Semis are done. Yeah, I need a replay from one of the semifinals. The Curie one. Best. What are my thoughts on the DLC? I think the DLC is pretty good. Like, I am a CA shill. This is our other semifinal, but I'm answering a question quick. I'm a CA shill, right? So you can have whatever opinions you want on the DLC. That's fine. I don't really begrudge you that. But I like it. I think it is appropriately priced, $5, but you get 3 units, 2 heroes, 2 lords, and you get a brand new campaign for Cathay, for Bashiva. I think the units in it are fine. I think they're all pretty neat. I think some are bad, some are fine, and some are good. I don't think any of them are overpowered. So from a multiplayer standpoint, I don't think it's going to do damage to the multiplayer scene. The campaign seems pretty cool from the limited amount I played of it. So yeah, I have all positive thoughts. I'm not like jumping out of my chair for excitement, but like, it's good. You know, it's a good little mini DLC. And I think it's like fair because it doesn't really affect you if you don't play Cathay. Like if you play Cathay, it's dope because it gives you an entirely different way to play like aggressive infantry rush with Tiger Men. And if you don't play Cathay, it's not so meta defining and game breaking that you feel like you're missing out, you know? Whereas like the Shadows of Change came out, that DLC with Tzeentch, Kislev, and Grand Cathay. And it came out with so many broken units that if you weren't playing one of those 3 factions, you were fucking trolling. You're just gonna lose every game you play against them because it came out so broken. And then it got nerf after nerf after nerf, and now those units are pretty reasonable. But like, man, if you weren't playing Kislev, Tzeentch, or Grand Cathay when that DLC came out, you were having a rough time in multiplayer. So that's kind of what I mean, where it's like, if you are a Cathay player, it's a great DLC. It's fun, it's good, it's reasonably priced in my opinion. It's good. And if you don't play Cathay, you're not gonna like suffer horribly just for playing old and busted factions, you know? It doesn't have a ton of DLC power creep off the bat, which is fun, but I don't know, some people like DLC power creep if they just want to play a campaign with fun units and like murder everybody. I don't think any of the Tigerman units are gonna like wow that type of person. I don't think we'll see a Nikoi video with 19 stack of Bashiva Tiger Empresses and it's 20 Bashivas murdering things. Like, you're not going to see that video because none of the units are that kind of unit, but I like it. So, seems good. No ROR doesn't bother me? Not really. How much are the individual lords for the other DLCs? Those are like 15 to 20 bucks usually, because the whole DLC I think was it 60? No, it wasn't 60. I think it was 40. I don't know. You'd have to go back in time, but they weren't 5. It's not $5 per lord. Any big changes to other factions? Unfortunately, no. That is one thing I'll gripe about, is there were no real other changes to that. Bird, I cast 1. All right, I had to yell at Bird. Here's the other semifinal. Let's get into it, but I answered my DLC thoughts. Well, you are on CA's payroll. Yeah. I mean, we have Alberic de Bordelot versus Curie for the other semifinal. And this is going to be my final DLC thought, and then I need to focus up on the semifinals and finals here. But yeah, since I'm a content creator for this, I play this game more than any other person healthily should. I've been playing Warhammer 2 and 3 as like my primary game for about 7 or 8 years now. So of course, when someone adds DLC to a game I already play too much of, I'm going to be like, yay, more content, but I'm a whale, right? I'm going to buy all the DLC no matter what. So my opinion should be taken with a grain of salt, where it's like, is a $5 DLC for 8 or 9 units good for you and your amount of playtime? That's up to you. But if you are someone like me who plays the absolute shit out of this game, then I think it's great. I think it's reasonably priced and I'm going to get a lot of time out of it. But if you aren't, then don't get it, right? If you don't play Cathay, you don't really like Cathay, then this isn't going to change that for you. Do they get a couple aggressive infantry? Sure, but that doesn't change the faction as a whole. So if you aren't a fan of Cathay, you're still not going to be, and it's not going to be worth your time. And I think that's fair. And like, I don't criticize you for not wanting to get it, and I would hope that you wouldn't criticize Cathay players for wanting to get it. I think it's fine. I do call bullshit when I think things are overpriced. I thought the original Shadows of Change, sure, all the units were broken and like really powerful, but the amount of content you got for that DLC at first wasn't good enough. And myself and other content creators said that, you know, most people are pretty honest about these sorts of things. And it's like, they released that free update to the DLC 6 months later where they added like 2 more units per faction and something like that. Like, yeah, so if I actually think a DLC isn't worth the price, I'll tell you, but I think this one's fine. But I also think there's a lot of reasons not to get it. So, you know, if you don't play Cathay, don't get it. It was a freaking joke. Yeah, looming, but it did give me an idea that I was like, oh yeah, I should mention this, like, about whether or not people should get it. What are your thoughts on the supposed leaks that were coming from Warhammer 3? I'm not sure I know which leaks you're talking about, and I'm going to move on. Move forward. Forward! If there's a stall between the semifinal 2 and the finals, then we'll talk about it. All right, so we have, for Alberic, we have Lewin, which is confusing. His name is Alberic, but he brought Lewin in this game with the Lion Shield and the Sword of Crone. Damsel of Heavens with Chain Lightning, the Green Knight, and then 2 Knights of the Realm in the trees as well. For the center of the Bretonnian army, we have a couple more Knights of the Realm protecting a field trebuchet, 4 archers, and then some spears and 1 peasant mob. For the Chaos Dwarves of Curie, we have Drazoeth once again with Flames of Asgore and Dark Subjugation for his spells. Hobgoblin Cutthroats, Chaos Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, some Infernal Guard with Fireglaves, 1 Blunderbuss, and 2 Bull Centaur Renders with great weapons. Good thing is you could buy Shadows of Change desperately now. All right, Drazoeth's moving in. So Bretonnia has this flank force set up. It looks like the Chaos Dwarves are just going to ignore that. Either it's stalked so they don't see it, though I thought they saw some of them moving around, or they're just not going to invest time chasing things around the trees, and they're going to kill the Bretonnian army that's in front of them and prepare for the flank when it shows up. Hobgoblin Cutthroats are going to beat Peasant Spearmen. Should be pretty easy for them. There's a Reddit post after the dev stream basically set a timeline of which characters and units were coming. Oh, I didn't see that. And I don't know how legit it is. Reddit has said some sus things. Also, sometimes they'll just say things that are like very popular units on tabletop, which probably are coming. And then when it happens, they're like, we predicted it, but there was actually no source. I don't know. I haven't seen any of it. And from my dealings with CA and the content creator program, they haven't mentioned what's coming up next besides the end time stuff. This is a risky Flames of Asgore, but it could work out. The Bretonnians didn't see it coming and didn't dodge in time. Big damage onto the Knights of the Realm and the Trebuchet. Beautiful cast. It was risky because there was nothing actually keeping the Knights there. So if they had noticed it, they could have dodged it, and that would have been a big waste of Winds of Magic. But since it worked out, it ended up being beautiful. First Chain Lightning is here for the Infernal Guard Fireglaves. Other Fireglaves and the Blunderbusses are now trying to turn towards Lewin and get damage on him, but the Bretonnian flank is coming, and someone needs to respond. Either the guns need to turn around or the Bull Centaur Renders need to get back here. Neither is happening right now as Bull Centaur Renders are trying to fight the Knights of the Realm and actually losing that fight pretty badly as Lewin gets pushed away by all the gunfire, but really good system, chain of events. There we go. Really good chain of events there for the Chaos Dwarves, but now Bretonnia's counter strike is coming. Knights of the Realm gonna shut down multiple ranged units at the same time. Bull Centaur Renders still not turning around just yet to deal with the threat from the flank, and the Knights are in. Now the Knights are disrupting multiple units at the same time, but they are still fighting Infernal Guard Fireglaves, which have pseudo halberd stats. They are fighting Drazoiths, so these Knights of the Realm are actually in a bit of danger. Bretonnia is getting some peasants back into the fight, archers or melee units. Chaos Dwarves a little up on the balance of power. Bretonnia has a lot of healing in their kit, however, which could be a problem, though it is really hard to heal when you're dead unless you're the vampires. And that seems to be the plan, as these Knights of the Realm are now completely sandwiched in by Bull Centaur Renders, Drazoith, and Halberds. They're having a difficult time getting out even after routing. Lewin dives in to provide them a little bit of cover, offering his body. He is low on HP, but he can always get back into the sky and start regenerating once again as more Knights of the Realm pile in. Another chain lightning is also going to hit these Infernal Guard. Really solid damage on those guys. The Bull Centaur Renders try and get out of here. So for the Bretonnians, we still have a full health Green Knight in the woods. I kind of forgot he was there. I don't know what he's waiting for. I don't know if he's been forgotten or if he's just waiting for a very late game situation where he can fight Bull Centaur Renders or Drazoith, but you think you kind of want to be here poking the Bull Centaur Renders right now. So I don't know if that's intentional or not. Or maybe he took some damage and went back to regenerate in the woods. I don't know. I don't know. Drazoith's trying to help out, routing some of these peasants, freeing up the Infernal Guard Fireglaves to fire at what they actually want to again, while the Bull Centaur Renders are chasing around other things. They are getting pulled around. They do need to kind of stick next to the targets of Bretonnia, because they're not fast enough to catch the horsemen in most cases, though these Knights of the Realm do drop aggro for a little bit. Oh, they're getting caught. Usually they can't catch the Knights of the Realm, so they should stick closer to the guns so they can get the inside track on things. In comes the Flames of Asgore. That's going to be really cool looking and delete peasants, but it actually could be a massive mistake. It deletes his Infernal Guard Fireglaves, which were pretty elite, and does a decent amount of damage to the Chaos Dwarf Warriors, though I honestly thought it would be worse, so that ended up being fine. But I was worried the Chaos Dwarf Warriors would take more friendly fire, and it's like, ooh, that's a healthy Chaos Dwarf Warrior that we're losing, but it's fine. It's fine. He didn't take that much out. It's fine. It's fine. Bull Centaur Renders still trying to chase around something, get something done somewhere, while Drazoith lands on the Green Knight, who is actually taking some decent damage. Oh, it's the Graven Scepter. He gets magic damage, so he can actually deal with the Green Knight in this form, and he's getting good damage onto Lewin, so really he's just kind of swinging for the fences right now with 82 melee attack and high weapon strength. Drazoith is doing a lot of damage. Oh, oh! Those boys need to run, but speaking of a lot of damage, that Chain Lightning just took out a full health Chaos Dwarf Warrior with some really good RNG and, of course, some good positioning as well. Lewin's back up into the sky, but so is Drazoith. Dark Subjugation was on him briefly. It is off for now. But Drazoith is still getting some decent damage down with Blunderbuss firing support nearby. Again, poking Lewin. Again, just doing any damage you can to get the King of Bretonnia off the field. Bull Centaur Renders are trying to finish off various tattered Knights of the Realm. And oh yeah, Bretonnia doesn't have a wealth of healing because Lewin has a self-heal. The Green Knight has healing if he's in the woods, but they brought a Damsel of Heavens this game, so no Earthblood spam to be found. As Drazoith dives back on the Green Knight, is getting some damage down. He's got full support of the Bull Centaur Renders nearby. Sword of Corone diving in from Lewin. It looks like the Bull Centaurs don't want to hang around. They want to half chase the Knights, but some of their models are kind of stuck back in this main fight. And Drazoith is still having troubles, but we do still have a full health Chaos Dwarf Warrior offering that good, consistent damage. Armor Piercing is good against Lewin, against the Green Knight. I don't know, bodies are bodies. They'll eventually get a couple good shots in. While we have the brave Chaos Dwarves, Infernal Guard, Fireglaves, and the Chaos Dwarf Blunderbusses, though they are damaged, they are still coming back into the fight briefly. Breath Attack down from Drazoith does very little damage to the Knights of the Realm, but it was a good attempt. Bull Centaur Renders are going to tear out away from the Green Knight. A Chain Lightning is coming down for the Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Where are most of their models? Yeah, they are mostly here. I was wondering if the flag was being deceptive, but that is actually where most of the models were. So they took a lot of damage as Lewin is starting to retreat. Ooh, man, if he had routed there, he'd lose his consistent healing and he would be stuck. He would just be stuck at the amount of health he has, but he is able to pull back. He's able to get away. So the Bretonnians are trying to reform lines. They are pulling back. And some of you out there might be like, but land battles rules, you have to be attacking. He is currently reforming, which is fine. He's got disparate archers that are out in the distance that he's going to try and bring back in, which is fine. So he's just trying to reform areas while Drazoith is chasing. I don't think they're supposed to be running away. Like, reforming is fine. I'd have to check the rules. It's actually been a while since I've had to read them, but Oh, no, duh, I'm being stupid. He's attacking the hobgoblins. Okay, idiot. Yeah, he's attacking something, so it's fine. My brain just completely short-circuited that there are hobgoblins right there, so he was charging them, which is fulfilling the attacking rules, so he's fine. Hobgoblins tear out off as the Green Knight and Lewin chase them around. Knights of the Realm getting very low. Drazoeth needs to get back up in the sky. Flap your wings, flap your wings, flap! Whew. Whew. All right, almost did flap his wings. Lots of archers coming back. Bull Centaur Renders deciding to go do some hunting of their own, and they're going to chase off other peasant bowmen, though their leadership is quite low. No shot the peasants rout them on the way in, right? They take about 100 HP, not bad, but they're going to get the charging bonus pretty soon, and they'll be fine. They'll take out the peasant bowmen. No way you rout. Okay, it got close, but they made it. They made it. They're fine. They're fine. Drazeleth still flying around. So the Bretonnians have recoalesced. And they're moving back in on the Chaos Dwarves, who have done their own recoalescing for now. We have an Infernal Guard. Needs to rejoin the fight. Both sides pretty tattered, though. I don't know. I'm getting a little scared for the Chaos Dwarves here. Bretonnia still has a good amount of healing they can do. My coworker just messaged me something, but it's not important for right now, so I'll leave it. Okay, Green Knight ain't beating the bull with magic. Maybe not, but he's got a low one still. All right, Tactical Lich wants to play some games with me to try out content shit. What's going on? What is happening? Both sides reforming. I could have fast forwarded, but I didn't really track what was going on. Then my coworker messaging me caught me a little off guard. I was like, oh shit, is there something to do? I don't know. I love you guys. My job is more important, so if like something was going down, I actually need to go do that. But it's not. It's not. Chill out. Chill. See, the remnants of the Chaos Dwarves are just getting battered by archers right now as they reform lines, but we are getting kind of loosey-goosey here with the formations of the Chaos Dwarves. They're a little all over the place. Now they're trying to recenter a little bit, but now they're under archer fire. So this is kind of reformations that you would have wanted to do before really the final fight is coming in. Chaos Dwarf Warriors, this half health one, if there is no Thunderbolt for them, they will be crucial in this late game. But there have been so many chain lightnings all over the place. And in comes a sneaky Flames of Asgore, but it gets canceled. It gets canceled by his Graven Scepter cast, so he's not going to be able to cast that spell. I wonder if he just holds on to it. No, don't cast it right there. No, your poor Chaos Dwarfs. No. He killed the Knights of the Realm, but he also killed his own Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Why would you do this to your own men? As a chain lightning comes to the Goblin Laborers, I guess with a chain lightning they were doomed anyway, so screw it, fucking send it all, as both sides annihilate any extra troops. Is down to just the Bull Centaur Renders, who are now terror routing, and friggin' Drazoeth, whose Graven Scepter is worn off. He has no magic damage left for the Green Knight right now. He's getting good damage onto Lewin. He's doing his very best, but is his best enough? Chaos Dwarf Warriors and Blunderbusses trying to get in range to help out. Drazoeth is still trying to fight, but now he's trying to get away, or is he just angling us so the Blunderbusses can shoot? He's got to turn and fight. He can't get off the ground. The Frostbite's too good. He takes too much damage. Army loss is gonna hit, and that's a GG. Whew. Whew. It's ogre. 2,100 damage value on the Chain Lightning caster, 1,700 on Alberic. Hey, Patrick. Green Knight only got 1,000. Well, 930, but nearly 1,000. Archers did pretty well. Knights of the Realm, mixed, but overall fine, and Trebuchet struggled a bit. Mercury, Drazoeth with 4,500 damage value. Incredible damage value on him. The Hobgoblins let him down a little bit. Chaos Dwarf Warriors did fine. Blunderbusses and Infernal Guard Fireglaves did fine. And the Bull Centaur Renders struggled just a teensy little bit. Very close game. A lot of healing from Bretonnia, with Lewin just getting chunked out, then healing, then getting chunked out. Yeah. It was solid. It was good. It was nice. So that means our finals will be between Bretonnia and who was the other? Slaanesh. Bretonnia and Slaanesh. Hirchengarung versus Alberic de Bordelot. Codex just said I'm hurtful. I guess I am. I guess I am. Sippa's pinging me, which is fine. Why doesn't everybody just bother me all the time? It's fine. All right, we have finals coming up. Your argument is mute. You're stupid. So, get wrecked. All right. I'm not gonna delete these replays just yet. But the players matched up 17 minutes ago. So in the time it would take them to make their builds, they're probably in the middle of the game right now, not that far along. Let me ping you, damn it. You can ping me, it's fine. I can just call you names. Bruh. Anyway, I'm gonna take a quick water break as we wait for finals. So give me a second. I've been... How long has this stream gone? 2 hours? It's been 2 hours of just consistent casting, which is why we do it this way. There's no downtime. There's no lulls. There's none of that shit. But you know what? It makes me tired. It makes my boys tired. So tired. So tired. Anyway, we're gonna take a break. Bye. Ooh. Oh, stretch your gams. Oh, stretch those gams. My gams are stretched. I'm back. Shut up. I'm here. Calm down. No more whining. Oi! Now would be a good time to insert ads. I mean, honestly, maybe I should have inserted ads there, but oh well. Okay. I don't see a finals replay just yet. Whoa. So, let us cast a random game. I'm kind of surprised Path to Power didn't get to finals. The replays we saw from him were quite crisp. Actually, kind of curious how this one plays out. Sure. We'll boot it up. We'll wait for the finals. Might as well. Rather than sitting in silence. Path to Power versus Stravlit. Stravlit. Demons of Chaos Wood Elves. We have a Nurgle. Actually, if those are Chaos Furies of Khorne, we have everybody here, but definitely Nurgle and Zinchka. Whoa! Vanguard. Okay. Chaos Furies of Khorne and regular Chaos Furies. We have Seekers of Slaanesh in the Vanguard. Cast Falcon? No. Anyway, Seekers of Slaanesh and Chaos Furies in the Vanguard. Nurglings on the Vanguard deployment as well. Blue Horrors of Tzeentch backing them up. A Herald of Tzeentch with Pink Fire and Tzeentch's Firestorm. And that is it. On the other side for the Wood Elves, no melee infantry. We have 4 Deepwood Scouts, all with their magic damage Swift Shiver Shards, and then Cavalry to cycle charge and protect them. 3 Great Stag Knights, 1 Wild Hunter of Kurnos, 2 Glade Riders of Spears, and a Spellweaver of High Magic with Tempest and Soul Quench. Finals are out. All right, I'll cast in a second. We already started this. It's fine. So the Wood Elves quickly scuttling away from the Nurglings who spawned on top of them, but the Great Stag Knights should be able to peel nice charges, take those guys, and shove them away. Glade Riders with Spears actually jumping right into Blue Horrors of Tzeentch, which I honestly don't know if they win that fight in melee. Blue Horrors are decent melee combatants, and Glade Riders are not. Oof. So the cavalry's getting engaged, which is fine, but they do need to pull back. That's the thing, is the cav has to peel for the archers. They don't want to stick in any committed fights. They just want to give the archers space to shoot and then back off. But yeah, the Seekers and Furies are closing in right now. The cavalry need to pivot immediately to turn around. In comes a Tzeentch's Firestorm on top of these Great Stag Knights. That's going to do a lot of damage to them, especially if they don't dodge, which they are not. Now, the Demons of Chaos backline is in disarray. We have many demonic instability proccing right now, so that's really rough. But the Seekers and Furies are here, and the Deepwood Scouts are much more important to the Wood Elf win condition than the Blue Horrors are to the Demons of Chaos win condition. So this is really bad for the Wood Elves. Now the Cavalry have turned. Is it in the nick of time? For the center of the formation, it mostly is, but we have lost Deepwood Scouts on each flank already due to a slightly slow turning of the Guard. Now with Vanguard deployment, who knows, maybe the Wood Elf player just literally didn't notice those things creeping up on him. Shit happens. But yeah. In comes a nice pink fire from the Demons of Chaos, hitting the two Deepwood Scouts that actually escaped the ambush. Did both take damage from that, and there's still a Fury on top of them. Bounce power slightly Demons of Chaos favored, and I would agree, as the Wild Hunters of Kurnos are surrounded by Seekers and Furies, taking a lot of damage. Other Seekers are onto the Great Stag Knights. The Wood Elves are in disarray. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to turn this one around. We will see. Now, as I've said with every Demons of Chaos game we've cast today, they are gonna have a hard time when their HP bars start to get low. They can just crumble away in an instant, but I think the Demons of Chaos have gotten enough of a lead that they're gonna probably be able to close this one out. Seeker's getting very low on HP. Fury's also getting pretty low on HP. Blue Horror is gonna crumble away soon. But for the Wood Elves, really all they have left are these 2 Deepwood Scouts and their Lord, man. It's looking rough. Both armies just got ripped to shreds instantaneously, though. Like, the troop counts melted away. In a 2.5-minute game, we lost 1,000 demons and we lost 400 of the 700 elves. That is a quick game. Furies are still getting sniped out by the Deepwood Scouts as they fight the Spellweaver of High Magic for now. The Blue Horrors are trying to get in range to fire at the Deepwood Scouts. Deepwood Scouts still very dangerous. Their magic damage, their high weapon strength, all of that is very good versus the demonic units. It looks like both sides are just taking a breather. The Wood Elves are kiting out anything that they can actually get in range of. Ooh, these Blue Horrors need to turn on their range shot. Range shot. Hey, get the damage you can, not the damage you want. They're probably still in melee mode from when they got charged by cavalry. Anyway, my point was the demons are chasing off random cavalry that could rear charge them while they hunt down the Deepwood Scouts. And they just didn't want to be getting shot while they do that chasing, though they are kind of coming in willy-nilly. They are sending in one unit after the other after the Deepwood Scouts, allowing them to easily be focused fired rather than fully disengaging with everyone, chasing down all of the routing units, then taking everybody all at once and coming for the Deepwood Scouts. The piecemeal approach is actually costing the Demons of Chaos quite a lot of damage in this late game as we lose a Blue Horror, as we lose a Nurgling. And honestly, this third Deepwood Scouts that's coming back, if it gets attack orders on that Fury, it could peel that Fury off of itself, but it does not get those attack orders in time. The Chaos Furies of Khorne are going to finish that off. Even if they start shooting now, it's just too late. Deepwood Scouts now need to fire at the Chaos Furies coming in. They need to just never shoot at the Herald. He's too small, he's too fast, and he has barriers. You just gotta shoot at what you can actually hit. Tempest trying to slow down the Chaos Furies of Khorne, but the cast was a little too slow. I don't know if they were out of range or something, but they've already landed, so the slow isn't as important now that they're already here. And Tzeentch's Firestorm, nice dodge from those Deepwood Scouts, not getting too complacent. The third Deepwood Scout that rejoined briefly is now shattered, and the second Deepwood Scout is starting to rout, leaving us with one healthy Scout and a decently healthy Lord versus an almost dead Chaos Fury, a very healthy Seeker, and the Herald of Tzeentch. This is going to be a big problem. That Seeker is going to murder the Spellweaver of High Magic if it stops to attack her, but it doesn't want to take the extra damage from the Deepwood Scouts, which are doing so much work on it. It's going to charge instead right past onto the archers. I think that is a fine choice. In fact, a good choice, not just fine. As the Deepwood Scouts are getting torn apart by the Seeker and the Herald of Tzeentch. They've got to take out those magic missiles, because even in melee, the magic missiles are tearing apart the Seeker. Oh, everybody's taking so much damage. This is an incredibly fragile matchup. My word. The Seekers are about to disintegrate. The Herald of Tzeentch is left all alone. Balance of power is getting dangerously low for the Demons of Chaos. Do we have any army abilities? Any of them? Any army abilities from the Demons of Chaos whatsoever? A Bolt of Change? Tzeentch's Firestorm? Anything? No army abilities, and that's gonna be it. Tempest is gonna guarantee that the Herald of Tzeentch dies. Army losses also just takes him out, and that is GG. That was a fun one. Herald of Tzeentch got a lot of value. Blue Horrors didn't get as much. Nurglings also struggled. Seekers did very well. Chaos Furies did very well. So the mobile elements that were actually able to catch the cavalry and the archers got a lot of value. No real shocker there. Highcaster did okay. She was supportive in her efforts. Deepwood Scouts, there were 5 of them, not 4, my bad, and they did a lot of damage. Wild Riders and Great Stag Knights did fine. GG. All right, we were just filling time with that replay until we get to our finals, which have been posted. So let's find out who won this dang thing, huh? Let's find out who won it, huh? Yeah, I had a stroke. What about it? Okay. Finals is here. Hilcherung versus Alberic de Bordelot. Slaanesh versus Bretonnia. Let's do it. For Slaanesh, to start off, we have 4 Slaangors, 2 Hellstriders, 3 Hellstriders, 4 Hellstriders. Final answer. A Fiend, a Pleasure Seeker, and an Exalted Keeper Secrets of Shadows with Rampage and Melkoths. On the other side, for Bretonnia, led by Alberic de Bordelot, who is taking Lewin Leyen Kerr, because he is a traitor to his name. We have 3 Mounted Yeoman Archers, a Wardens of Montfort, the 4th Mounted Yeoman Archer, which is the Arwa. King Lewin with just the Sword of Corone, and then a tide of peasants, a tide of them. 5 spearmen, 4 peasant mobs, 2 Knights of the Realm, 2 Pegasus Knights, Royal Pegasus Knights even, and a Damsel of Life with Regrowth and Earthblood. So Bretonnia still wants archers versus Slaanesh, but they wanted their archers to be able to move and run. So I get that. I get that. Mounted Yeomen can do okay damage versus Slaanesh because of their low armor values and bronze shields. Means your lower missile strength isn't that big of a problem. This Mounted Yeoman got maybe a little out of position though. The Hellstriders are going to be able to catch him, and once they apply that poison, he is doomed. They have 100 speed to the 92, but slowing down to 78. Yeah, at that point, you're not getting away anymore. So that is one of the Mounted Yeomen is just doomed. There's no way for it to get back into the game. Other Hellstrider being focused fired by the Skirmish Cavalry, taking a lot of damage. Melkoths to whittle down the Wardens of Montfort, but not much they can do just yet. Slaanesh seems to be happy enough with taking the frontline fight. You can see their Slaangors are just running down peasants for now. But they need to be careful. They're abandoning some Hellstriders back here, the ones that caught those Mounted Yeomen, but Lewin and the other Mounted Yeomen are going back there uncontested, so in a 4v1, that Hellstrider is in trouble. But another Hellstrider is catching out the Damsel, and this is hard in a new player tournament. Like, battles that get this spread out, where not everything is on your screen at all times, a lot of mistakes are going to get made. We saw that Damsel just kind of forgot to run away from the Hellstriders for a second because the Bretonnians player, his camera's probably over here trying to catch these Hellstriders, or over here trying to run away from the Slongors in the front line. Like, this is a huge map, and getting spread out like this taxes your micro a lot for veteran players, so for new players it's especially rough. Slongors killing the peasant mobs whenever they catch them pretty easily, massacring those guys and pushing them backwards. Lewin was not able to peel the Hellstriders off of his own mounted yeoman archers, so now he's on the ground. That's really bad. Okay, somehow, I don't know how, he just took off, but he needed to take off. Because if those Hellstriders had managed to surround him and keep him on the ground, the Exalted Keeper of Secrets is coming with her rampage, and he was actually going to get dragged down. Bretonnia is a little out of position. I know these guys have been avoiding a fight with the Pleasure Seekers and whatever and whatnot, yada yada, so on and so forth, but this is still a lot of money that is so far on the sidelines just watching all of your infantry get murdered. Your infantry is cheap garbage bullshit you don't care about, sure, but like, the point is to get Slaanesh to engage on this and then hit them in the back with your cavalry, but the cavalry is so far away that to respond to anything that happens, any good opportunities that appear, it's going to take them too long to get there. The opportunities are going to be gone. So I do think I think Bretonnia needs to be playing a little more dangerously. Like, yes, you are at risk of being slowed or rampaged or caught out. Yes, sure. But you need to take risks to win versus Slaanesh, because right now, too much of his army is just not participating. And he's losing opportunities. He's losing time. Because that's all these peasants are trying to buy you, is time. They're not going to deal any damage. So we're just giving up time tokens over and over again to Slaanesh. Slaanesh is just charging them. They're killing them. They're getting the free kills. And they're fine casting Melkoths. Now, Bretonnia's not doing nothing. I just don't think they're doing enough. But, like, mounted yeoman archers are firing. They're getting some decent damage here and there. Those kinds of things. Goodbye to all those infantry. Yeah, all the Bretonnia infantry are dead. And still the skirmishing continues from Bretonnia. They're falling a little behind on the balance of power, and I would tend to agree. I mean, your Knights of the Realm are still healthy. Your Royal Pegasus Knights are still healthy, but now you don't get to fight on cheap bullshit peasants and pull back and heal when you need to. Now you're going to be fighting on enemy Slongors. And if you try and pull back, you have nowhere to pull back to. The Pleasure Seekers and the Hellstriders are still going to be upon you because they're faster. Pleasure Seekers and the Fiends are both faster than your Knights of the Realm, so you're going to have to get some good engagements. Bretonnia still has a bit of skirmishing left they want to do. It seems like that's what they're sacrificing their peasants' lives for, is just for archer damage. But in comes the tier 2 army ability of Slaanesh. Nets the Wardens of Montfort for 8 more seconds. And this lady's trying to get in range for a rampage, I imagine. She's going to try and kill them, and if they start to get away without routing, she'll rampage. But it looks like she's got them. They're going to tear her out. So now there's no point to rampage them because routing takes priority over rampage. So they'll keep running. It's a good pick. Good pick. Bounce power is in Slaanesh's favor. I would agree, as we're now down to 2 skirmish cav, both of which are pretty low on ammo. One has 2 volleys, one has 5. Lewin does land, but this is kind of what we were talking about with the opportunity costs. Like, you got to make plays, but now instead of making plays on top of peasants, you make plays on top of enemy stuff. So Lewin has to live dangerously here because he's trying to set up something, right? He's trying to set up a bad engagement where his knights can get a rear charge in on the Fiends or the Pleasure Seeker and get good damage, but Slaanesh immediately captures the Damsel of Life, rampages her, takes her down, and she is just dead off the bat. Bretonnia is on the back foot here. Pleasure Seekers are in onto Lewin, and now is the time, Bretonnians, you need to engage. You need to participate in this fight. Here come the Royal Pegasus Knights trying to rear charge in on the debuffed Pleasure Seekers. This is what Bretonnia has wanted all game long. It took them forever to find it. Now they need to capitalize. If they instantly delete the Pleasure Seekers, if they manage to snipe out the Lord, this is still a winnable game. Let's just see if all the peasant blood was worth it. Knights of the Realm charge in. Beautiful sandwich, beautiful debuff, really good trap. I would have liked to see something like this earlier, but the Bretonnian player just couldn't find the angle for it. The Pleasure Seekers are going to get taken out almost from the rip. Full HP fighting Lewin into nearly dead, but they're just hanging on. One leadership barely clinging to life there. The demonic instability starts to come in. There they go, and that is a big unit off the field. And with these Knights of the Realm fighting the Fiends, if these Royal Pegasus Knights can find a way to flank the Fiends and set up another sandwich over there, that could also be a really good play. It's not going to be a perfect sandwich, but it's fine. It's fine. Just get in there. Just get the damage done. We've got to start turning this game around. In comes a Narcissism, locking the Pegasus Knights in place, but some of them did manage to land, and the Fiends are now trying to bail out a little bit. Slongors are fighting. Royal Pegasus Knights taking a lot of damage. A lot of damage. Peasants are coming back to the battlefield. Of course, the infantry support is going to be there for Slaanesh for the rest of the game. There's just no way for Bretonnia to clear all that infantry before the game ends. Now, like, could Lewin maybe kill them all before the game is over? Sure. I just meant, like, this isn't going to come down to Lewin versus the Exalted Keeper. It's going to come down to Lewin versus all his infantry, if anything. But the Exalted Keeper is getting good shots onto Lewin, while the Royal Pegasus Knights try and finish off the Fiends. The Fiends are demonic instability crumbling. The Fiends and the Pleasure Seekers are gone. Knights of the Realm and Royal Pegasus Knights, can you get in there? Can you save Lewin? If we kill the Exalted Keeper of Secrets, this is a winnable game for Bretonnia. Lewin has a lot of healing left you can do, and you can cycle charge a lot of infantry out of the game, but Knights of the Realm get locked down in infantry, and the Royal Pegasus Knights are about to get Fascination. The Rampage is bad, but the damage is worse. The damage is so bad for the Royal Pegasus Knights, and army losses is gonna hit. Slaanesh takes it. It was a beautiful play by Bretonnia, just a little late. Just a little teeny little bit late. Exalted Keeper Secrets 2,100 value is pretty good. Slongors all did very well price-wise. Exalted Demonettes actually did pretty well also. Hellstriders, more mixed value. Pleasure Seekers actually got shut down quite explosively considering how expensive they are. Fiends did okay. Alberic, well, Lewin, led by Alberic, you get it. You know what's going on. Lewin did okay. Not a ton of value, but he is more of a slow grinder. So when the game happens that quickly, like, he wasn't actually fighting for that much time, so he's not going to get much value. Knights of the Realm did fine. Royal Pegasus Knights actually did pretty well, and the Mounted Yeoman Archers did very well. Yeah. The name Lord combo made him lose. That's fair. So I owe Hirn Chirug a DLC. Congratulations to them for winning the tournament. Hell yeah, nice job on Slaanesh. Not a new faction to pilot, not a new player friendly faction to pilot. So happy to have that. I do have some other replays I need to be casting for other events, but that is it for today. Oh, DLC comes out Thursday. We got to get a faction war going for after that, and yada yada. Lots of things going on, but hope y'all had some fun today. Torreson's typing. So yeah, if you're a new player out there and you want to participate in future new player tournaments, I'll be hosting some, or RTK will be hosting some. We'll get them going. For land battles or conquest, there'll probably be at least one a month, 1 or 2 a month. Like if RTK doesn't host them, I will. I know RTK hosts new player domination tournaments every weekend. Those will still be continuing. So if you're a new player and you want to get some domination games in, be sure to stop over at the RTK Discord. They're always doing fun new player shit. And thanks to them for hosting this one. I got to cast it, which was nice, but all the work was done by RTK's Beard and Torreson. I say Beard because it's B-Y-R-D. I know I could say Bird, but fuck that. So thanks to those guys for putting in the legwork. It was fun to cast. It was a good time. What are people typing you about? Oh, I'm playing League Arena right now. Gotcha. All right. Bye. Bye. Bye.